The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Blackmore is absolutely correct. We're starting late to make up for leaving early yesterday. I mean, how do they figure this stuff out?
I don't know.
I thought we were subtle about it. I mean, my gosh, they cracked the code. Welcome in, everybody. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, and ESPN 1410 in Dayton. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett, and we're off and rolling here on Thursday.
Wow.
The short week has thrown us off. But as a wise man once said, Jacob, what did that wise man once say?
I mean, the one thing people don't ever talk about with a long weekend is a short work week.
That's right.
So, I mean, what a little hidden gem that you get to find on Tuesday when you come back to work. Oh, my gosh, 4-day work week. So, thanks to Casey for pointing that one out. Really makes me feel good today.
Yeah, I mean, people just don't talk about it enough. It is a underrated part of your week when you get a short week. So, yeah.
I feel bad. I mean, you've been dunked on a lot this morning.
A lot.
And you didn't even have it coming. You just sit in your website. I don't even know what's going on with this website. I've never even heard of it.
I mean, they're claiming that it's some Russian website when it's not even close to
What
that.
is this Russian website that you speak of?
It's called Scores and Odds, and it compiles all the data from all the sports books on where the money's going and where the percentage of the bets are going. That's it.
Does it have Putin on the cover when you go to it?
I
think I'm at the right one. I'm not
Putin.
sure.
No Putin.
The Hamilton boys here found some weird website that, and when I say nobody uses, I mean nobody uses.
These four do.
These four do, and it works for them. They basically, what it is you fade the public, and I'm happy for and I'm happy for them.
But the thing is that they think they broke gambling.
Well, yeah,
and it's just fading the public.
and also, the percentages on this website are vastly different than the percentages I see on Twitter and on DraftKings and on FanDuel, because every other website does this same exact thing. They just use the one that's drastically different for some reason, because they get their data from Russia, and that's okay. It's Russian data, and they steal your identity.
They get the betting data and all their other data.
Correct.
Have you guys ever wondered why the TVs just magically turn on and off?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Have you ever wondered why?
It's because Vlad's up there working the TVs.
Vlad. Classic Vlad, dude.
Classic.
Well, we're off to a great start.
Great start.
That's right.
Sorry, Casey. I'm going to take a look at your Russian website, and I'll be the judge.
Yes,
just to get an extra outsider's opinion.
You'll see nothing but English on there. There's no Russian in there.
That's just what a Russian website would like you to think. Just throwing that out there.
Sure.
All right, we're going to do something unprecedented today.
Whoa.
I don't think we've done this since I've taken
started,
over the show. Yeah, I don't think we've done this at all. I don't think we've done it at all since I've sat in this chair. So I want to mix it up. We're going to do something that not a lot of shows do.
Yeah.
And that is, what is that? What is that, Elliot?
Are you talking about leading off the show with headlines?
Absolutely. We're going to lead off the show with Elliot's headlines for a change.
Elliot loves three things: Joey Votto, David Bell, and leading off the bench with top headlines.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Voice. So the headlines today, again, not a ton, but nonetheless, it is the opening day of the NFL season. It does not get better than this, so praise the Lord. But we'll start with baseball headlines because why not? The Reds have now won 8 straight against the Houston Astros. They scored 9 in the first inning. Spencer Arrighetti recorded 2 outs before he was pulled. He gave up 9 earned runs in that first inning. The most he had given up all year was 7 in a start. He gave up 9 in the first. The Reds win the game 12-5. They've now won 3 games in a row. Maybe they're all the way back. India led the game off with a home run. He hit safely in 8 of his last 10. Elly De La Cruz went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a couple of RBIs. He also stole a base. He has hit safely in 7 of his last 10. Tyler Stevenson added 2 more hits with 3 runs batted in. He has hit safely in 8 of his last 10. So the offense may be coming alive a little bit as the season ends with no pitching staff. But nonetheless, here they are. TJ Friedel had a multi-hit game. Ty France had 3 more hits. That's 7 hits for Ty France in his last 2 games. Nick Martinez threw 107 pitches. It cannot be stated how important this guy has been this season. Nick Martinez has been arguably the most important reliever / starter that we've had, just because he's always been available and he's been able to do whatever we've asked of him. So shout out to Nick Martinez. That's why we paid him. That's why we brought him here, and hopefully he will be back next year. Obviously, it's his choice though. He went 5 2/3, allowing 1 earned run while striking out 7. The Reds and Astros play this afternoon, where Rhett Lauder takes on Hunter Brown. Rhett Lauder has a 2.25 ERA with 6 strikeouts. Hunter Brown has a 3.55 ERA with a 1.29 WHIP. This is the first afternoon game in a long time. I don't remember the last time we had one. Around the league, the Phillies, they beat the Blue Jays. Kyle Schwarber matches Soriano's MLB record with 13 leadoff home runs this season. 13 leadoff home runs by Kyle Schwarber this year. Shout out to Alfonso Soriano. The White Sox, they won a baseball game. Woo! They end their 12-game losing streak, their third 12-game losing streak of the season. They crushed the Orioles 8-1. Luis Robert did leave the game with an injury. So, even when they win,
I'm shocked.
Even when they win, they still lose. The Marlins, they won 4-3. Xavier Edwards hit an RBI single in the 10th to get the job done. The Rays, they had an 8-run inning last night as well, en route to their 9-4 victory. We have the 8-3 the score against the Mets and the Red Sox. They have now won 7 in a row, just a half game back of the Braves for that final wild card spot. So don't count out the Mets. Braves, they beat the Rockies 5-2. Kellenick's 3-run home run was the difference maker. Cubs shut out the Pirates 12-0. Shota Imanaga, Porter Hodge, and Nate Pearson all combined for a no-hitter.
Doesn't
3 pitchers.
Doesn't count, right?
No-hitter.
We're all on the same page there.
Yeah, I don't care about that at all.
Yeah, not at all.
That might as well not even be an accomplishment.
No, do it yourself.
Honestly, they
Have some pride.
should have given up the hit at the end just to respect the sport.
100%.
The Cardinals, they beat the Brewers 3-2 in the 10th. The Royals win 4-1. Tommy Pham hits his first home run for the Royals to end their 7-game losing streak.
Has he slapped anyone lately?
Well, it's fantasy football season, so maybe.
Right,
Tommy Pham since 2020. Anybody want to guess how many teams he's played for since the year 2020?
Many.
Anybody?
Bueller?
5?
How about 8?
Wow.
How about 8 teams since 2020? Dodgers, they get blown out by the Angels 10-1. Mariners destroy the Athletics 16-3. Matt Chapman and the Giants, they've reached an agreement, 6-year extension for $151 million. And those are your MLB headlines. But we do have one NFL headline I saw. I saw that there is a petition out there in Washington that they're looking to change the name back. I saw this
Football
today.
team?
The football team. I heard they were no, not the football team.
That's all. Yeah,
the Commanders, the fans are trying to change the name.
What do they want to change it back to?
Back to the Redskins.
He did it.
Look. Do we want to get into this?
I saw there was 100. There was 140,000 people that have signed this petition, and that includes Native American groups in the area.
It's almost like those groups spoke out about changing the name from it when it happened.
Seems like that
they wanted to keep it. They thought it was honoring them.
Seems like that was the case, but nonetheless, there is a petition for them to change it back. Other than that, not a whole lot of other news. Other than it is the opening day of the football season, so happy day to all.
There was one other nugget of big time news for Kinner, myself, and Buckeye fans everywhere. Ohio State has canceled their pregame tradition of doing TikTok dances on the field before the game.
Wow.
And I know I'm not usually one to bash the TikToks like Kinner is, but Urban Meyer won national championship, and he dominated Michigan, and there was no dancing on the field before games. Ryan Day comes in, you become a joke of a program because you're dancing on the field before games.
Right.
Get it out. You beat Michigan. You win a national championship. You can start dancing again. Every time I saw Kyle McCord hit a fadeaway jumper before kickoff and then throw for 130 yards and 1 touchdown all to Marvin Harrison, it made me very, very mad. So I'm extremely happy Ohio State got rid of this charade, if you will. Good teams can have fun. Average teams cannot. They need to focus on winning, and it seems like they're doing so. I hope next they eliminate Fun Fridays. If you know anything about Ohio State, they have the most fun Fridays in college football. That's their tagline. They play play games, dodgeball, football, little, dunking a basketball, all that stuff. Let's practice an extra day. Let's focus on beating Michigan.
I didn't know about Fun
and
Fridays.
winning a national championship. So dancing's a good start, but I hope they get rid of Fun Fridays as well.
Okay, all fun, no smiles.
That's
it's
right.
about championships.
That's right.
But when I did see that, I smiled pretty big.
Oh, I was so
bigly.
happy.
I smiled bigly when I saw that,
Yeah,
because that mindset exists out there of, hey, your team, when you're losing like that, you're not living up to expectations. We don't want to see you dancing on TikTok. We want to have this idea that you are just at home furious. You're not eating. You're not taking calls from your mom. You're not, you're not talking to your girlfriend. You're just miserable. You are sulking. That the only thing you're thinking about is how are we going to get better. And then when we get on social media and see that you're just dancing around on the old TikTok machine, man, I don't know. I didn't make that theory up. That exists out there, and clearly Ryan Day agrees.
Do you think TikTok ruined America?
Absolutely. Speaking of Russian hacks, I mean, my gosh, am I right, Casey? I mean, my goodness, what's going on here?
First, we're going to come for your identities. Then we're going to come for your money. That's what they're thinking.
And then we're going to come for your desire to win.
That's right.
That was the final straw for me. You can have my identity. Just don't take my
you
star
can have
players.
My identity, you can have my money. Yeah. Don't take my desire to win.
Yes.
That's right.
That's why I took it off my phone for one reason and one reason only. I want to show up to work every day and have the desire to win.
Stay hungry.
I felt like when I had that on my phone, I was just showing up, just going through the motions.
That's right.
Science
for sure.
Blackmore said, is Jacob covering up a bad haircut?
I can prove I'm not. I haven't.
This is the first day you've worn a hat in a while.
It is.
I was distracted during the break.
No, I haven't worn a hat in a long time, but I wanted to wear one for the show tonight, so I just thought I'd wear it on.
Are you familiar with the show You?
Yes. Great show.
Pull it up, Casey. Look at that. It's the first thing I thought of when I walked into.
That's pretty funny.
You're Joe Goldberg,
That's
dude.
pretty funny. No, I have not murdered any ex-girlfriends. So.
What about current?
No, well, I don't have a current girlfriend. And
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I look like the serial killer from Netflix.
So
maybe I'll change that look.
But the second I saw Blackmore ask that, I looked at you. I'm like, I didn't even realize you were wearing the hat. And I'm like,
that
I see is Joe
hilarious.
Goldberg.
That's very.
I forgot to mention one other headline.
Oh, headlines. Back to headlines.
There was a guy that came to practice yesterday.
Nah, I'll believe it when
I think we're done with that.
We're done with that?
Yeah.
We'll touch on it after.
I forgot to mention that one. I feel like I should have mentioned it.
And that is a perfect segue into segment number 2. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Joe Goldberg. We are all off and rolling here on a Thursday. I'll believe the report about JaMarr Chase reporting to practice yesterday when he reports to day number 2.
That's right.
He seemed to get
I like that.
He seemed to get us on the second day of the back-to-back practice the last time, but let's talk about that. What does this mean? I know that sounds like a very silly question, but does this mean the contract is done? Does this mean that a contract won't get done and he's basically caved to Mike Brown and the front office? What does this mean? Will a contract be announced today? We'll get to all of that coming up more off the bench next.
That was hilarious.
Mark Fetter says Blackmore and Kinner are bros now. Good to see. Look, I'm not against being bros with anybody. I just think people don't like me. So that's more of a Blackmore thing for him to decide on his end at the end of the day. But nonetheless, we welcome you back off the bench here on a Thursday. NFL kicks off tonight. You got the Ravens. You got the Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Lamar Jackson. You got back-to-back winning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's a lot of hardware on this field. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a bit. But just when we thought the story, I'm over the JaMarr Chase thing. I got that Brandon Ayuk fatigue after a little bit, and I'm officially at the JaMarr Chase fatigue as well. You brought this up yesterday, Jacob. Brandon Ayuk came out when he addressed the media for the first time since getting the deal done and basically said that he wishes he could have gone back and done things a little different. He believes he made things way more difficult than they needed to be down the stretch of that after, before signing with the Niners. You brought up, who was the receiver? Oh, Justin Jefferson brought up the fact that,
unknown guy tucked over there.
Yeah. Hopefully that JaMarr doesn't miss time and doesn't miss games, over this and, needs to be out there, this, that, and the other. He we talked about that yesterday. Well, I don't know what it was, or if maybe a deal's about to get done. Maybe JaMarr Chase and his sides and his team has realized, okay, we're not going to get this done, but I need to be out there. I need to get out on the field and get some reps in with the team. I don't know what it is, but yesterday Jay Morrison and many other Bengals reporters, local and national, got the clips, got the video. You have to have the video.
Right.
You have to have the video,
Need the video.
of obviously JaMarr Chase, helmet in hand, practice jersey on, and he practiced yesterday with the team. Most of the practice was closed off to media in the back half, so some local media got to see him just kind of warming up and do drills with the team. But at the end of the day, he's out there. He practiced yesterday. Last time he practiced, everyone got excited. Next day, he didn't show up for practice again, or at least didn't participate in practice again, and that's when things started picking up with fans getting a little frustrated with him. What does this mean? I know it sounds silly. Does this mean a contract is done? Is a contract going to be announced today? Is JaMarr Chase just basically saying, F it, I can't miss more practice time. I need to at least get some reps with my teammates in. What is going on? What does this mean? Is it going to be announced today if a contract is done?
Yeah, so I think the happenings of yesterday are even more simple than anyone's even thinking. I said it yesterday on the show before he came back to practice. If he was going to play on Sunday, he had to practice yesterday.
Yep.
Install starts on Wednesday for a Sunday game, and you just have to be out there. I don't care how good you are. I don't think JaMarr's going to forget how to play football, but you still have to learn the new system for the new week. It's the NFL. These playbooks are intricate, and I think that's why he was out there. I don't think he was intending on holding out. And all these reporters are reporting that the conversations are ongoing. The Bengals have made a secondary push or a tertiary push, depending on who you talk to, and they're going after it hard again to try to get him done before the season. And we know Joe Burrow was extended on opening night last year. So if it's going to get done, we've been circling this date for quite some time now, and I certainly wouldn't rule it out. But yesterday didn't really change how I feel about the contract. It just gives me 100% confidence that he's going to play in week one, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. Him being out there in week one for 17 weeks this year, that's the most important thing. And that's what yesterday told me, is that he plans on being out there and contributing to the team. And he's doing what he thinks is necessary to get ready. And fingers crossed that he comes out there today and practices again, because he was listed as limited yesterday with no injury designation. So no one really knows how much he did do in practice, and it's important to remember that first practice he came back for was a light walkthrough type thing as well. So we'll see what happens today. I would love to see him in some 11-on-11 drills, stuff like that, full team activities. But even if not, if he continues to be out there in a limited capacity, it makes me feel really good about Sunday. I know I said it 2 weeks ago or so when he practiced. I said that 2 weeks is a perfect amount of time. Well, I'll take it back. I'll say 4 days is a perfect amount of time, because if he's going to be out there on Sunday, I'm going to be confident in him. That's kind of where I've gotten to at this point. I don't care what else happens. If JaMarr puts the helmet and shoulder pads on Sunday, I'm going to be confident in his execution.
I don't think he's any closer to getting a contract done, if I'm going to be honest. I think this was similar to what Jacob said. At some point, you just have to show up to work. And you have to know what you're going to do on Sunday, because for somebody who's not practicing because of money, I had a hard time believing that he was never going to play because of money. You know what I mean? I just have a hard time believing he's going to forfeit $20 million to get a new contract when you're still playing on you have 2 years left. You have two, and I understand why he's doing it. It's the business side of the NFL. I 100% understand why he's doing it. But what you can't do what he's done, and you can't do the psych out thing. You can't do the I'm going to come back and now I'm not going to come back, and I'm going to come back. So if we find out today that he's not at practice again, then we're going to start to have issues. But as of right now, we're all good. He's back on the field. He's ready to play. He's going to be ready for the Patriots on Sunday. And yesterday was just that first step that he needed to take.
Yeah, so I see some people in the chat didn't like initially when I had said, is the contract about to be announced? Or is this just him and his team finally just saying, you know what, deal's not going to get done, but I can't miss time. I need to be out there, whatever. I don't think that's that crazy of a take, and I'm glad I wasn't sure what your guys' thoughts on that were, so it doesn't sound like that's that crazy of a possibility. It is Mike Brown. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. I never thought that CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys would not get a deal done. I never thought that the Niners and Ayuk would not get a deal done, and the deal being either a trade or a there's a part of me that doesn't believe Mike Brown and that front office will get a deal done with JaMarr Chase this offseason.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
This offseason. I believe they'll get a deal done, look, there's a history with Mike Brown of not caving. He doesn't cave, and that's not an opinion. That's a fact. We had Jay Morrison on not too long ago, right in practice starting. He goes, Mike Brown doesn't blink. Like we initially thought this would be a week, maybe 2 weeks into camp, and here we are days before kickoff, and it's still not done. Look, bottom line is, why does it matter? Why is that such a bad take that people are getting mad at? The bottom line is, as long as he's out on that field, who gives a rip? Deal done, no deal done. As long as he's out there, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. But at the same time, if a deal does get done and he gets that penny over, Justin Jefferson, now I'm looking at Mike Brown and saying, I agreed with I was taking the ownership side of this is 2 years early, what are we doing? But if you knew ultimately you were going to give him what he wanted, I don't blame Chase for missing practice the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks anymore. I now blame them. Because if you knew you were going to do it, if you're going to bend over backwards to get it done, you'll never convince me that whatever deal that they agreed to, if it's announced today or tomorrow or at all, that couldn't have been done 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that's my biggest thing in frustration is that, is if the deal, I'll respect Mike Brown more if a deal doesn't get done. I know that sounds wild. I'll respect Mike Brown and Duke Tobin more if they won the staring contest, because at the end of the day, that means, hey, we're not messing around, guys. Like, we have a certain way of doing business, whether you like it or not. This is how we're going to do it. But if they end up caving and giving him every demand he wants 2 years early, now I'm like, well, then you're why he wasn't at practice the last 2 or 3 weeks. I no longer blame JaMarr Chase. I blame the front office, because if you were willing to do it, you should have done it 2 or 3 weeks ago to avoid all of this mess from snowballing like it has.
I don't know what the number was, and that's the biggest thing. If Mike Brown signs a contract here in the coming weeks, or in the coming week, let's just say they sign it tonight, but right before kickoff, like they did with Joe Burrow last year, I imagine that number would have been different than if he would have agreed to it 2 weeks ago. That's the only thing where I'm not going to sit here and blame Mike Brown. For the record, I don't think a deal is going to get done. I really don't. I don't think there's any reason to sign him as of today. He will get a massive contract extension. If you were going to do it, you should have done it before Dallas.
CeeDee Lamb.
Before CD got his.
See,
I think you should have. I think you should have done it as early as possible if you were going to do it. So that's where I agree with you. But nonetheless, I don't think there's any urgency for him to get this deal done. I think from the beginning we've all had the take that the Bengals have had the upper hand here. You don't have to pay him. He has 2 years left on his deal. And JaMarr Chase knows that he wants the $20 million. He's going to get paid per game or whatever that number is. So, yeah, I don't think Mike Brown's under any pressure to get it done. I really don't think JaMarr Chase has any urgency to get a new deal. I think he was just playing a card that he thought he had. Card turned out he thought he had an ace. I think he ended up having like a 7 of spades. And that's like not a bad thing, because you're gonna have every card you want after the season. You are going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. That's 100% a fact. If I'm JaMarr Chase, I want to wait. I want to wait till next season. Let's pay everybody else before you pay me. Because at that point, I have to be paid the highest. I'm still going to get paid higher than everybody else who's going to be the next highest. And then JaMarr Chase is the last one. He's sitting on the throne.
Who's in line to be paid next wide receiver?
That's the only reason I disagree. I don't think there's any wide receivers that are going to go above Justin Jefferson if CD didn't.
CD was the final domino.
Just saved us millions of dollars, I think, with that extension, because there was a very, very realistic shot that he was going to go above Justin Jefferson, and I personally think he should have. I think CD should have gotten more than he did, but he took an extension at lower than Justin Jefferson's average annual value. The only way that contract might have twisted the knife a little bit for the Bengals is the signing bonus was so big. That might be a conversation. And the thing that's a lot of people gloss over for next year is if the Bengals wait till next year for the contract, the signing bonus will be much smaller, because you won't have to spread it out over 2 years. So the signing bonus and the amount of guaranteed money you would need this year is much higher, even though it will affect the cap less in the future if you extend him now. The Bengals' issue for all of eternity has been a lack of cash up front. And to sign him 2 years in advance requires a lot of cash up front. So I don't necessarily think that it's going to get done this offseason, but I don't blame the Bengals if it does, because maybe they were just trying to call his bluff. When he came back for practice one time, maybe they said, all right, well, you're back now. We'll stop negotiating. You met our demands of coming back to practice. And then he sat out again, and they were like, well, crap. Maybe he's actually going to do this thing. We'll cave to your demands, in which case I kind of applaud the ownership for not digging their heels into the ground and costing the Bengals a Super Bowl window if that contract situation would have kept JaMarr out of games. And obviously we'll never know that. I think he's going to play without an extension, in which case the ownership wins. And if he gets an extension, he'll obviously play, in which case I applaud the ownership for getting it done. And I'm going to choose to believe that he wouldn't have played without the contract. So maybe that's just a fan perspective of trying to give the ownership credit. But I think everyone has honestly handled this pretty well, all things considered. I understand you would like JaMarr to practice all offseason, but he was extremely quiet about it. The practice in, practice out was the only time that it was really that loud. There was one contract ask leak, and we're already till opening night. So as long as he practices today, I'm kind of officially checked out on the situation.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same place. I don't think this was ever a scenario where the Bengals looked at the wide receiver room. They're like, we're going to pay T. Higgins instead of JaMarr, or any of the other theories. We're going to keep drafting wide receiver talent, and we can replace JaMarr through the aggregate. I don't think it was ever going to be that. I think they just
get guys that get on base.
Correct. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to a lot of what Jacob said. They don't have the money right now. JaMarr, you're going to get paid. You are going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Just give me a year here. Give me an off season. We don't need to do this 2 years in advance. And again, I understand his side. I really do. You're a wide receiver in the NFL. If you get hurt 1 year, if an Antonio Brown type situation happens, your career could be over within a day. You know what I mean? It could go away like that. So you want to be insured. You want to have the biggest contract you can have while you're still playing the best football you're playing. And he is right now. He's in his prime. There's no doubt about it. JaMarr Chase is playing the best football he can possibly be playing right now. And I don't fault him for wanting that money. I just fault him for all this stuff where you're going to Chicago. You're going to practice. You're not going to practice. Zach Taylor's saying you're definitely playing. He's walking it back a day later. Like all that to me was unnecessary noise that didn't need to happen.
Now, you bring up a good point. I said on my show yesterday, I actually complimented the Bengals of how they've handled this as far as, like, nothing getting out. By the way, like the Adam Schefter thing, if it truly is that he has an axe to grind with the organization because they don't leak anything to him, that actually, for all the criticism that organization gets, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because organizations like Cincinnati, who everyone calls a poverty franchise, this, that, and the other, if they actually viewed themselves as that, they'd be desperate for any attention that they can get, and they would leak anything and everything. They keep everything as bottled up as any franchise out there. I mean, I do think I'm starting to kind of lean your guys' side a little bit. I do think the axe to grind with Cincinnati from Adam Schefter and most insiders is they don't get anything. This JaMarr Chase thing has been, and let's go back to Joe Burrow as well. It was as buttoned up of any QB negotiation out there, and this has been about as buttoned up as any wide receiver negotiation out there. Nothing has leaked, and the stuff that did leak, I think, was probably the team of JaMarr Chase's side, leaking the number just to kind of get that out there, and that happens throughout. But as far as the Bengals, they have been, Fort Knox over there as far as letting anything out. So kudos to them, and here's why. Everyone was ripping Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys for not getting a deal done, of course, with CeeDee Lamb, but the bottom line is they didn't handle that bad at all. I don't think the Niners handled Ayuk bad at all. These things take time. They do go. These negotiations take time. Obviously, you have sit-ins, sit-outs. Those things happen. The only reason that the others seem more chaotic than the Cincinnati Bengals, because those owners talked. Jerry Jones talked. Then pissed CeeDee Lamb off. He retweeted with the LOL. Then that story took off, and then there's chaos in the front office in Dallas. There was not any more or less chaos in the front office in Dallas than there is in Cincinnati. It's just Cincinnati didn't talk. Dallas did. Shocker. Jerry Jones doesn't know how to shut up. And that was the problem. So as much as it pains me anytime I have to give kudos to the Cincinnati Bengals, I actually think that they've handled this well. I'll still be a little annoyed if they end up giving him exactly what he's asking for, only because if you can give it to him on September 9th or whatever day it is. What is today? Oh, it's the 5th. Why did I think it's the 5th? Sorry,
well, I think you saw
a little hungover today. I don't even know what day it is.
Well, I think you saw the 9, and that's where you got confused.
I'm seeing 9 ahead of Sunday. Dude.
Correct.
Got Bengals on the brain, right? Like I don't know what's happening.
No
here.
free ads.
No free ads.
What? Never mind. Am I missing?
That was a joke
mind.
for Casey.
I tell you what.
Inside jokes.
Inside jokes. We'll be a part of one someday.
All right, we'll be right back. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers.
People watching the show right now.
I'm so glad I didn't finish my ore.
Yeah,
because the ore.
That's true.
Yeah,
the ore would have been bad
for public consumption. I'm just saying. But we welcome you back again, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tisson. You're no longer Joe Goodberry or whatever his name is. Goldberg, whatever.
Goldberg. I think that was it.
Goldberg.
ADD. But continue.
Any other people you want to shout out?
No.
Okay. All right. Bengals captain.
Yeah, no T. Higgins. What the hell, dude?
All right. Listen. To roll off the last conversation there. let me ask you this. And I want to talk about it a little bit tonight, so I don't want to reuse two segments.
What's tonight? What's tonight, Elliot?
Tonight, if you're anywhere near Champions Grill, it's on the west side of Cincinnati. Work Road.
Not spelled the way you think.
WERK Road.
Right.
We're at Champions Grill live. It'll be myself, Casey, Jacob, and Reed. We'll be talking all things Bengals. We'll be leading up to Thursday Night Football, the opening game of the season between the Chiefs and the Ravens at Champions Grill from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, leading up to that game. Come join us. Come say hi. We're giving out 2 pairs of Reds tickets.
Ooh.
If you don't like the Reds, that's fine because it's a post-game Nelly concert.
It's getting hot in here.
Getting hot in here.
Nice, dude.
Getting real hot. So come out tonight. Come see us. Mark, if you and your wife want to come, fried pickles are on me.
And do not worry. Kinner won't be there.
Do
not worry.
I expect him to be there once, though, this year.
Well, he's going to have to come to the Browns game.
Casey's debut of his stink list will be there tonight. It'll be a verbal stink list, obviously, because we won't have all the fancy graphics. But nonetheless, I'm excited for that. So everybody, please come out tonight, and we're talking all things Bengals leading up to the Patriots.
For a full immersive effect, I hope Casey didn't brush his teeth this morning. So the verbal stink list should have a real stench to it.
I agree.
Maybe go eat some sardines.
I think that's just so uncalled for.
I'm saying if you want a full immersive experience in the verbal stink
you want to stink.
You would affect another sense as well, since it's usually ears and eyes, and we don't have the visuals, so you got to affect the nose.
Correct.
Unless you want something they can touch.
I don't want to offend the fans more than I'm already going to by listing out those that stink. Kenner.
You know what? I am coming tonight.
Teaser.
Jersey and all.
Let me ask you guys this, and we are going to do this segment tonight, so sorry, we're using it twice. Do you think the fan perception of JaMarr is different now this season than it was any other season before?
I've always. Oh, my.
No, go ahead.
My thing on this is that fans need to understand this. You are allowed to be critical of your players. And it doesn't mean you're not a fan of them, and it doesn't mean you dislike them, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to support them moving forward. I've always been, my frustration with Bengals fans, and I'm not saying it's just Bengals fans. It's probably a lot of fan bases, but that's the fan base I seem to go back and forth with a lot. Bengals fans frustrate me, not all, but most, who believe that if my player does something, I have to support it no matter what. You do not. You do not. You could be the biggest JaMarr Chase fan and still say, JaMarr Chase, you're being a bonehead right now. What the hell, dude? Get out there. You AJ Green. What the heck? I'm losing my mind. You have T. Higgins, and obviously you look at the players that demanded the trade or requested the trade in the offseason, right? Hendrickson. You look at those guys who wanted to be paid a little bit better, obviously wanted better financial situations. They requested a trade, but you know what? They got it all buttoned up before the season started. They didn't want to be a distraction. Cool. JaMarr Chase didn't do that. You're allowed to say, hey, man, that's kind of selfish. I know you're acting in your own self-interest.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that, but I'm still a fan of you. It is okay to be critical. It is okay to say, hey, Joe Burrow, man, you stunk today, but man, I'm all about 9 moving forward. It's okay. I don't know why fans act like you have to support a player no matter what they do, everywhere they go, no matter what they say, no matter how they handle a situation. I just hope people understand that you're not a bad fan if you're annoyed with JaMarr Chase right now. And by the way, if he signs a contract today and he's talking to the media tomorrow and that all works out great, you could be the biggest JaMarr Chase fan in the world tomorrow and forget all this happened, because we've seen a lot of these contracts get ugly with a lot of other teams, and those fan bases get really pissed off, and then they go catch a touchdown or they go throw a touchdown, rush for a touchdown, interception, win a Super Bowl. All this stuff's forgotten. Everything will be forgotten probably by halftime of Sunday. We'll forget all about these contract talks if he's out there catching a touchdown in the first half.
I agree with you. My concern, and I'm going to make this my concern up until, we'll say, halftime of Sunday. My biggest concern is that he's not going to have a good game. What happens if he doesn't have that good game?
I'll be real annoyed if fans get mad about that.
Because I think fans are going to get upset about that.
Because of this.
Correct. And I'm not going to say I'm going to get upset about it. I'm just saying there is certainly a large portion of the fan base that hasn't liked how this whole scenario has played out this offseason. They wanted a perfect preseason up until week 1. We haven't had that in a long time. This was our really first year to be able to do that, and we didn't do it because JaMarr wanted a new contract 2 years early. Again, don't blame JaMarr for wanting that. But everything that's led up until this moment, I feel like fans are sort of on the bubble. They're sort of on the edge, and they're waiting to burst if there's a bad first half. Let's say 2 drops, two catches, 20 yards, 2 drops in that first half. then people are going to the Twitter birds are going to come out. And they're going to say tweet. And they're going to come out and they're going to say, this is why you practice. This guy's a sellout, yada, yada, yada. And that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see people turn on him after one bad half, after one bad game. If he has a bad game against the Patriots, I know who JaMarr Chase is. We all know who JaMarr Chase is. So I'm not going to be upset if it happens, but I am concerned that there's going to start being that doorway opening for negativity regarding this Bengals team. And I don't think it should be. I think we should be talking about how Joe Burrow has fought back from his injury. He had a completely healthy preseason, offseason. And now we're ready to play the Patriots in week 1. We're mostly healthy. We suffered a couple injuries in the preseason during camp. But outside of that, we're mostly healthy with a mostly revamped offense, defense. It's going to be a good year. And I don't want any of the negativity on this year to go to JaMarr Chase. That's what I don't want.
Yeah, I feel like there's two different things that the question and your answer, I think, are two different things. I think people are going to be very upset if he plays poorly, has a couple drops, whatever, that's fine. I would be shocked if people's opinion of JaMarr Chase changes. And that's what I'm talking about. Wide receiver 1 of this team for the extended future, part of the core, a guy you believe in, week out. People can be mad at him for holding out and having it affect his play week 1. But I really I don't think the overall opinion of JaMarr Chase will change. I think there will be people out there that exist that completely turn on JaMarr Chase because there's people out there that hate Ellie De La Cruz because he has errors and strikeouts.
Correct.
It's going to be the same exact people there that are mad at JaMarr Chase for holding out and missing camp, that don't like a generational player in baseball just because he has a couple counting numbers that aren't bad. Like, I think the people that really understand what's going on and that this is a new era of football where this exists.
Yeah.
This is a thing that happens. I mean, Pat Surtain obviously didn't hold out, but he just got an extension 2 years before. He's from JaMarr's draft class as well. Like, these guys are getting paid in this window now, and I know it's new and it's just starting up, but it exists. And it's not that crazy for him to want an extension right now when every other, good receiver from his draft class has already been paid. So I don't hold it against JaMarr. I think long-term fans will come around as well, but I think you're definitely right that if there's a bad first game, there could be a little blip in the radar. But I think people are going to come back around the first time we see him go for a 70-yard streak, touchdown, and nothing will matter.
Correct.
And by the way, and I think we can meet in the middle on this too. If he does have a couple drops and does have a bad game Sunday, and Bengals fans are pissed at him, you're allowed to be, but your like opinion totally changing on him. Like, we're just done with him. Get rid of him. If those people exist, weirdos. All weirdos.
Thank you.
Those people are weirdos. I am fine, though, if the big, like Casey's a diehard Bengals fan. If he says, damn it, JaMarr, what the, like, this is why we wanted you in camp, that's allowed. To
100%.
Me, that's allowed. And then guess what? Week 2, he looks a little bit more settled in. Week 3, he's catching touchdowns. And then by week 5, we're not even talking about this contract thing anymore. I think that two things could be true. You could be critical. You could be annoyed. You could bring up, man, see, this is why we needed you out there in camp, all while still being a JaMarr Chase fan. And same thing with Ellie. I never got mad at anyone that was – I mean, you had Casey. You wanted to send Ellie De La Cruz to Chattanooga. All right, you get him to Chattanooga. But no, people that were upset for a guy of his talent not being able to field a ground ball, I'm with you. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, you're way too talented to be making those type of errors. But also, man, Ellie's just one badass mofo. Like, at the same time. Like, both things could be true. But the people that were like, Ellie's overrated, we don't like Ellie, get rid of Ellie De La Cruz. Come on now. What are we doing?
Right.
I think those people exist, which is crazy. We walk the same. Second he started talking, I think we're good.
I think we're back.
We caught back up.
We're back.
We were operating on the same server for a second, apparently, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Shout out to
Classic.
Shout out to Ellie and JaMarr.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's right. That's what this segment was about. It was about loving our players.
But
you got two superstar players in here. I'd pay them both tomorrow.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I agree with you.
How about that?
And to be fair with this, I'm glad, while we're on this, because the Joey Votto thing and the Joe Burrow thing, the two most untouchable athletes in my lifetime in Cincinnati have been those two. You can't criticize Joe Burrow, and you cannot criticize Joey Votto. If you criticize Joey Votto at any point, it's, well, look what he's done for his whole career. That's great. I'm talking about who he is right now. That's all this. It's the Joey Votto, and again, he's not the Joey Votto now. He's retired. I just meant during that final stretch that he was with Cincinnati. I mean, hitting below 200 for a long stretch of time, I have felt like I had the right to be upset with that Joey Votto. But I would get a lot of the Reds diehard fans. oh, it's a former MVP. I mean, look what he's done for the entire franchise. I'm like, that's great. That this little struggle period of his does not eliminate any of that, but we could still. And the same thing with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow in the early part of last year was not very good, but my gosh, if you voiced your opinion on, man, he looks like crap, it's, oh, stop, he's top 2 quarterback in the NFL. You can't say, you can say that. It's an opinion about how he's playing right now. But at the end of the day, let me ask you guys this too. I don't know if you saw yesterday, the injury report came out. 2 things that popped out to me. One, JaMarr Chase, obviously healthy but limited.
Yep.
I didn't know really what to make of that. I mean, you need to make up time, but I don't know what limited means, so I'm not going to really go off on that. Joe Burrow popped up on the injury report. I don't know if he's been on the injury report all camp. We were told he's 100% coming in.
There hasn't been one.
Yesterday on the injury
That's
list.
the
before
first
practice.
injury report.
Okay, first injury
because
report.
it's officially week 1 now.
So his wrist is just on there as what? A precautionary thing? Like, we were told he's 100%. I'm not trying to stir the pot, but like, am I overreacting to that? What?
If a player receives treatment on an injury, it has to be reported on the injury list.
So if he got any treatment on his wrist, ice, doing an
and
extra
that's
workout
just
after
precautionary
practice.
stuff.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough.
I would be floored if Joe Burrow's not working on his wrist. He got surgery on after practice. That would be very weird. I think part of being back to 100% here by the regular season is consistently rehabbing that. This is an injury no one's ever had before at the quarterback position, or at least not at this level. And it's going to take a lot to get back to 100%. And I think part of that is working on it up until kickoff of week 1, and that's all that means, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it could be something that he has the rest of his career, to be honest with you. It's one of those injuries where like he could always be receiving some sort of treatment on it just to make sure that it's still flexible. And
injury prone?
No.
Okay, no. Like I just saw that and I was like, wait, what? I thought he was 100%. Maybe re-aggravated in practice, but any treatment, there you go. Okay. All right, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410 in Dayton. Any closing thoughts on this Bengals ordeal with JaMarr Chase? Now, he's going to address the media tomorrow, I guess. That came out yesterday. Not going to address the media today. Now, why would he not address the media today? Maybe an announcement's coming today, and then, of course, they'll have the press conference tomorrow. I don't know. As we wrap up the JaMarr Chase conversation, just quick thoughts on why would he address the media tomorrow? The reason I think now I'm like back and forth. I'm like, deal's not – maybe there's a chance it's not done. But why announce that you're going to address the media tomorrow unless there's something significant to talk about?
Yeah.
You're not going to say, hey, I'm practicing, but I don't have a contract done. I feel like that'll just get more controversy started.
Him talking tomorrow was the first nugget that made me think that they're close and or done.
Yep.
The other thing that made me think that was this morning, Adam Schefter tweeted, quote tweeted Joe Burrow's extension from last year, the announcement that Joe Burrow was the highest paid player in the NFL. And he said, on the very same day that the NFL kicked off the 2023 season, the Bengals got in on the action and signed their standout quarterback to an NFL record deal. Now, on this year's opener, JaMarr Chase and the Bengals are trying to reach another significant deal. Why do you tweet that? Unless a deal's done, and you're trying to get out ahead of it first because you've been a guy saying the entire time that a deal's not going to get done.
Shefty's got sources.
That's my first. Those two nuggets combined gave me, I think, a little bit more faith in a contract extension today than I've had in a long time.
Yep.
Probably at about a 6 or 7 out of 10 that it gets done today.
Mm-hmm.
And if that game gets kicked off, if that ball's in the air off either Tucker or Bucker's foot, it goes back to a 0. I don't think there's any way the contract gets done if that game gets kicked off. I don't think it's going to happen in the middle of the season. I think that is when the Bengals front office will dig their heels in, will not negotiate anymore, and that'll be that for this season with JaMarr talk. But if there's no extension, I hope we're just done. Like I hope he practices today, full capacity, or limited if they're trying to work up his snap count and he's full by the weekend and no snap count on Saturday.
Yep.
And he just plays well and none of this matters. I hope we're just done. And I hope Bengals season starts and we can just roll and try to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
No more. What was that tweet yesterday? Bag chasing or chasing the bag, whatever it was. I thought I got a kick out of that. But I'm the chase fatigue, no doubt, is there. All right. Last point on this. So you brought it. We have spent a lot of time on that JaMarr Chase conversation, but holy crap, Joe Burrow's healthy heading into this season.
Yeah.
T. Higgins has had the best camp of his career. All right, no more talk about will he get an extension or not. He's franchise tagged, $21.5 million guaranteed. Like, there's a lot to feel good about this team heading into this season. And to Elliot's point, not a whole lot of that's been talked about. I don't know if you would like to have more positive talk about it, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think a Bengals team under the radar is the worst thing in the world, because usually when we're talking Bengals at this point, I think this was the point that I think Reed made a while back when he filled in, was talking about just being boring. Yeah. Boring being nothing to talk about. Because if there's nothing to talk, if you're winning and doing what you're supposed to, that's nothing new, nothing to talk about.
Keep talking about the Texans. Keep hyping them up.
I'm a Texans guy.
But let's put some. I know you are.
But
put some pressure on the Texans. They're really, really good. Go win a Super Bowl, CJ. Year 2.
But you can't.
A lot of pressure, CJ. Nobody talks about the Bengals right now. That's fine. That's fine.
So boring is good if you were the Cincinnati Bengals, and I guess outside of JaMarr. Let me ask you this: if JaMarr Chase, this doesn't happen, what the hell are we talking about? Yeah, what's the number? Take JaMarr off the table. What is the number one Bengals highlight right now heading in to Week 1?
I think the expectations and the excitement for this Bengals season is one of the highest it's ever been in my life. And if JaMarr had been practicing this offseason, it would be exponentially higher because we would have just focused on T. Higgins having an amazing camp. I'm certain there would have been JaMarr highlights every day on Twitter as well, and Joe Burrow practicing longer than he's ever had in an offseason. Yeah, I think it would just cause expectations to skyrocket and excitement to double, and that's great and would be fun as fans. But I think this is a good way to kind of temper things going into the season, and it is still Super Bowl or bust in a way, but I think this is a way for the team to kind of, like Elliot said, fly under the radar a little bit more and not take as much of the brunt of that pressure, even though people know Joe Burrow is probably the best chance to beat the Chiefs and Mahomes.
Yep.
Fair enough. Casey, send us off with the Bengals talk at least. What if JaMarr Chase is not a talking point, what's the number one talking point for the Bengals heading into Sunday for you?
Number one talking point. It would probably be just the Joe Burrow wrist. Seeing how he looks in an actual game. I don't think there's much else really. Defense was one of the worst in the league last year. See how that performs with all the new additions. Not much else.
And again, boring is good.
Yeah, that's right.
Boring is good. All right, Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. We'll be right back.
Next on the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we welcome you back. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410 in Dayton. All right, talked a lot about Joe Burrow, JaMarr Chase to open up the show today, but we're going to expand it to other quarterbacks, other NFL topics at hand. Again, the season kicks off tonight. Back-to-back Super Bowl champion winning Kansas City Chiefs, of course, taking on two-time MVP Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens later on tonight, of course. Is it weird, two teams that we all, and again, I'm not a Bengals fan, I'm a Browns fan. You clearly don't like the Browns, but I think we can all agree we both hate the Chiefs and we both hate the Ravens, right? Like
that's right.
Yeah. So, like, which team you hate more? Like, you tune into this game tonight. Like, are you cheering at any point for anything? It's
I'm cheering for good football, just good, clean family fun. That's what I'm cheering for tonight. Yeah, I will watch every primetime game this NFL season.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fact. I don't care who's playing. In fact, I like watching the Chiefs play. I think it's a fun style of football. I like watching the Ravens play. I think the Ravens are a pretty damn good team. Saying that, will I root for any team? No, I won't root for any specific team or any specific outcome. I will have bets on the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna root for my money.
I'm gonna root for my bets. But I'm not going to root for any of these guys. Go get them, Patrick. Lamar, run. I'm not cheering for any of that. But it's like
unless you take like Lamar rushing yards.
Unless I take rushing yards, then I'll do it. Or Patrick over 3.5 touchdowns.
Did you say rushing?
Line, which I might.
Rushing or Russian yards? I didn't know if you're using that website. I didn't know. What are we using? Russian yards or rushing yards, Casey?
It's rushing.
Oh,
yards.
rushing.
Oh, thank you.
Casey's a get no rushing yards. Got it.
But yeah, listen. I'm going to have so many bets in this game, it makes me sick. But nonetheless,
rich.
Well,
hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well,
we'll see. Be first.
I think I'm down 1,000 units on opening night, but nonetheless, we're gonna try to win some money tonight and have some fun. I love watching both these teams play. I like watching good teams play each other in the NFL because there's quite literally not another sport like it. There's not another sport that delivers this level of entertainment night in, night out, especially in prime time, opening night of the NFL season.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just hope two good teams play like two good teams.
Yep.
When you get a matchup this good in week one, there's always the worry that they're going to start slow. They're not going to look like themselves. I hope they both just come out firing and we get the same Ravens we're going to see at the end of the year and the same Chiefs we're going to see probably in the AFC Championship or Super Bowl. I want them playing at 100%. I want all the guys on. That's what makes this game the most fun because we finally get lucky with a preseason game with with two competitive teams. I know last year didn't seem like it at the time, and then obviously the Lions turned around and made it to a championship game, so we got it last year. But this is one of the better preseason kickoff games that I can think of in a long time.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It's incredible.
What's more nauseating, when the media is drooling over the Ravens or when the media is drooling over the Chiefs?
I don't think the media drools over the Ravens.
No.
You think they do? Yeah. You think they drool
It's
over the?
Let me take Ravens out. Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they drool
that
over Lamar.
defense, too.
They drool over Lamar. I don't think nobody's drooling over Rashad Bateman.
Well, it's the
Over-
defense. It's
over
Lamar,
Mark Andrews.
The addition of Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, people think highly of the Ravens because they run their organization so well. But I don't think it's anywhere close to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You have two of the most talked about players in the NFL on the same team. The two most talked about players in the NFL on the same team. You got one of them dating a singer, so he gets all the attention there. You get Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and there's so many storylines regarding them always. You could have your own. They could be the Globetrotters, and we could be that other team they play. What are they? The Warriors? Who do the Globetrotters play?
Washington Generals.
The Generals.
I was 2 for 3 against the Generals.
Good for you. Hell yeah.
I played for the command. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm a former Globetrotter, dude. I got the video. I'll send it to you.
Did you do any of the tricks?
They
did
tried
you
to
do
make me dance.
The finger spin?
No, they tried to make me dance, and I just did the Kevin James, just sway back. I was
Okay.
not doing any of the crazy dances. But
That makes-
continue. I
that-
hijacked it.
That
My
makes
bad.
sense. I honestly forget what I was talking about. if I'm
Yeah,
being
that was
honest
down
with
on
you.
my end.
So
Clown
lost it.
Kinner.
I lost it.
So no-
the media. So yeah,
Yeah.
the media talks about the Chiefs, and yeah, I get annoyed with it. Of course I do. But I think that's what happens when teams are good. So
I think
They're
the
go-
Chiefs media talk and the Ravens media talk is relatively close, and the Chiefs deserve it and the Ravens don't. That's why the Ravens stuff makes me more upset.
I mean, 2 MVPs. I mean,
That's great. 2 playoff wins.
I know,
What are we-
but
what are we talking about?
I know, but you can't discredit him.
MVPs don't matter at all.
They don't matter at all.
Then Aaron Rodgers is better than Brady.
Maybe.
I think so.
I think talent-wise.
Yeah, we digress.
That's why I think. That's why I think you talk about Lamar Jackson because I think it's such an interesting.
Lamar
story.
Jackson's great, and
You have a majority of this of the NFL fan bases that think he's just a running back. He's won 2 MVPs. If he's a running back, he's the best damn
And a
running
third
back
one
in the
soon.
league. And a third one soon.
Yeah, no. Lamar's my quarterback 4. I'm not acting like I think he's some running back, some terrible quarterback. I think the amount of times I see him put ahead of Allen Mahomes, not really Mahomes, but Allen or Burrow, that is where I really just don't understand it.
But here, let me ask you this: if you take away Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, substitute quarterback X, how many games do they win?
Tyler Huntley made the playoffs.
You mean Pro Bowl quarterback?
How many games did Tyler Huntley start that year?
I think 6, and he was half a yard away from winning the playoff game against the
Because
Bengals.
if
They
it
were-
wasn't
they-
for
they
Hubbard,
already had a winning
he's
record
beating
at
you
that point,
guys.
right?
Yeah.
He was a quarter yard away from beating a team that went to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue that. I'm just saying, I have no issue with, especially maybe because it's my division. I have no issue with the media hyping up the Ravens. Hype up the entire division. More eyes on Lamar Jackson means more eyes on us.
You're right.
So from that standpoint, I don't really care. The Chiefs stuff's gonna get old real quick.
So I bring this up because, tonight, like I said, I'm going to have a hard time, rooting for either team. But from a Bengals fan perspective, you kind of got to pull for Baltimore a little bit because can you imagine a reeling Kansas City team? All right, a reeling Kansas City team in Week 2. Because the Bengals, that Week 2 matchup is big for a lot of reasons. For one, it's a non-division rivalry. It's Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. Both rosters full, hopefully full, and both fully healthy. And that matchup right there, if the Bengals can take on an 0-1 Chiefs team and knock off the Chiefs, imagine the confidence of the Cincinnati Bengals who get off to a 2-0 start, who then beat Kansas City and get them off to an 0-2 start. Now all of a sudden we're doing the three-peat's not happening. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are rolling. He's healthy. The Ravens, you don't have to deal with them until a couple weeks later. I just think, when you think about how narratives are spun at this point, the narrative early on, the Bengals-Chiefs Week 2, if Baltimore beats them tonight, that's huge for Cincinnati because then after dealing with all the JaMarr fatigue and all the contract talk, now there's going to be no doubt right off the bat. You knock off the Chiefs after taking care of business against the Patriots and they're 0-2, The AFC is the Bengals division or the Bengals conference at this point, and that's who everyone's going to be talking about. I know it's early; it's only week 2, but narratives exist in week 2 and 3 just as much as they exist at the end of the season. I think to be in the positive side of things, every year the Bengals since Joe Burrow, it's been about injuries. It was about COVID, then it's about injuries coming back from surgery, and then it's about last year the slow start against Cleveland and the first month of the season. Now it's all of a sudden for the first time in Joe Burrow era, it's 2-0, 3-0. They could be 4 or 5-0 to start the season very easily. I think that week 2 game against the Chiefs becomes even bigger if they lose to the Ravens tonight.
I agree, and I don't think it's necessarily because of the week 2 game. My thing is you play the Ravens twice, you beat them twice, you give them 2 losses. Ravens beat the Chiefs tonight. We beat the Chiefs in week 2. The Chiefs have 2 losses. Bengals have a leg up for the 1 seed. I have faith in this team winning the division. We did it with a 3-3 record in the division. We've beaten the Ravens before. I absolutely think that they can do that regardless of the Ravens' outcome tonight. I think the Chiefs picking up losses along the way, because I don't think there's many options for them to. I think the Chiefs losing tonight will be big for the Bengals' hopes of having the playoffs run through Cincinnati.
Well, the flip side we're getting in the chat is saying, well, when's the last time the Chiefs lost back-to-back?
That's certainly true.
They lose tonight, then they're going to be even more pissed. I don't know. I see both sides.
I'm on the side that you would want the Chiefs to win tonight because of what happened last year. I know the injury stuff. I'm aware of the scenario that happened last season. You went 1-5 in the division. You're cheering against divisional opponents as much as you can. If the Ravens start 0-1 against the Chiefs, maybe that brings them some bad momentum into week 2. Maybe they start off slow. We're trying to win the division. I know you're trying to win you're trying to win the whole conference.
Big picture, yeah.
Big picture. I'm trying to win our division. If we can win the AFC North, that's all that matters to me. And if that means as many losses the Ravens can get out of division, then I'm going to cheer for it. That's the only thing. Because if they didn't go 1-5 last year, mind you, I'm aware of the injury situation, so it wasn't really a complete fair fight. But saying that, and Jacob's right, if you beat them head-to-head, it doesn't matter. If you beat them both times. But I'm not banking on the Bengals to beat the Ravens head-to-head both times. I'm not banking on the Bengals to beat the Browns head-to-head both times. I'm trying to get 4-2, and they're trying to be 4-2 in the division. I think that wins the division. But at the end of the day, if the Ravens are going to start off beating some of the best teams in the NFL, I don't know if we have a chance to win this division. So that's the part of it where I'm going to definitely cheer for the Chiefs to win the game tonight.
The hate for the Ravens runs deep. It seems to be running deeper than for the Chiefs, which is wild because everyone in the chat is like, absolutely not. No Ravens. No one pulling for the Ravens.
I can respect it. They're the divisional rival, but I just think for the Bengals, it helps much, much, much more if the Chiefs take the loss tonight.
And then you put them down 0-2 next week. And then, of course, they'll spin, again, narratives. They're spun later on when the Chiefs heat back up. Oh, well, the Bengals, you guys won. Well, yeah, we started slow. You didn't beat a good Chiefs team, week 2. We're a much different team now. That's how it works as far as that goes. All right, we'll step away for a few. When we come back, we'll talk about Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson a little bit more. We're going to get into Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. We're going to get into more quarterback conversation as the season kicks off coming up here later on tonight. Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube.
All right, everyone. You know what time it is. It's time for the ads. And who better to pay the bills around here than me? So here I go. Bonnie Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing other brands use. The result being a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Bonnie Water at PAHHNIwater.com so you can buy us great tasting water. Thank you again, Bonnie Water, the smoothest water without rocks in it.
No rocks.
No rocks.
Zero rocks.
Zero rocks.
Stop putting rocks in water.
And Pawnee listened.
Pawnee listened. Other waters have rocks.
My whole life, all I've said, I wake up every morning and I said, man, I want a bottle of water with no rocks in it. But they didn't exist. And then I come here and I find Bonnie Water. And holy cow, no rocks.
No rocks.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Smooth.
And Pawnee Water rocks.
Right down
Heyo.
the gullet.
Right down the gullet, baby. Gulp.
The Bengals Report is proudly sponsored by Encore Technologies. At Encore Technologies, They deliver cutting-edge IT solutions for a data-driven world, from mobile computing and desktop support to advanced data center solutions.
Whoa.
They help businesses enhance efficiency and
PRODUCTIVITY. Say it, Kinner.
What
He
am I
wasn't paying
saying?
attention. Productivity.
productivity. Yes.
No thanks, Jimbo.
It's a client. A client needs something, and I'm like way
Oh,
behind.
well,
on
I'm
this, so just
sorry.
saying.
I'm sorry. We come
Usually-
second to the client. We come second to the clients over.
Clients
That's
matter,
fine.
dude. My
That's-
clients come first.
That's fine.
clients
I'll
come
sit over
first.
here and I'll do the show. Go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry our host wasn't paying attention to you.
Kind of makes me sad.
Makes me sad, too.
I was
Makes me
placing
angry.
bets on your Russian website, dude. Give me a break. Like,
I gave you that joke. Don't you use it here now.
Visit encore.tech, where your path to innovation begins here. Right here. Game Time. I love the Game Time app. You guys know this by now. It's one of my favorite, actually it is my favorite ticketing app out there at the moment. It's the smoothest. It's the most efficient app out there. It's just pristine looking. It's got lots of great features, like the Game Time Picks filter kind of helps you fluff out all the nonsense there so you can get exactly what you're looking for. They've got things like the super deals, the hot deals that come around, and there's a lot of deals right now for Bengals season ticket games. Like I saw one for the Eagles game pop up. That will be a really fun one to go to. Those tickets are as low as like $100, $150. You're not going to get those deals anytime during the season, so definitely check those out. Game Time has the best deals, has the best tickets, seating, everything, all that fun jazz. And take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with the Game Time app. Download Game Time app today, create an account, and use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time!
What time is it?
Game time!
What time is it?
game time.
That's right, guys.
Thanks, Justin.
Download Game Time today. Lowest prices, last minute tickets, guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Also, just some other housekeeping items. I think besides the Bengals show today, are we doing anything else?
Nope.
No,
Because we
nothing
gotta get ready. But we do have the Caleb 513 ball. He's basically teaching me how to be a ball hawk. That video will release tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We have tonight again. I'm gonna just plug it again. Champions Grill, Work Road, WERK Road. We'll be there from 7 to 8 tonight, live, talking Bengals, talking Ravens, Chiefs. Getting you ready for the NFL season, getting ready for the Bengals season. So please come in, say hi to us. You guys being there live means more to us than you would know. So please show up and come see us tonight.
Live shows are fun, and keep in mind, like we do this show in the studio every day. When you guys do your remote shows, you're doing them from your studios at home or whatever. Like, I don't know how often you guys go out and do live shows, but it is pretty cool. When we did the show at the Memorial, there was a lot of the listeners that ended up going to the Memorial that kind of got to meet and put faces with the names and everything like that, which was cool. But the more people that come out to these things, the more opportunities for the show to go out on location. And like I said, if me not going is a sacrifice to help get people out there, then by golly, I bring value to this whole thing.
That's
at
right.
the end of the day. But seriously, it's really cool doing shows out on location and getting to meet people, and it's fun interacting in the chat, no doubt about it. But to be called a clown face to face in person it just means more at the end of the day. So come on out tonight. I think it's really cool, and appreciate Champions for having Chatterbox out. So.
And thank you to our radio station. We will be giving away again 2 pairs of Reds tickets. So be there tonight. Again, don't like the Reds, fine. We got Nelly. And what is it getting hot in?
In here.
In her.
In her.
All right, it's getting real hot in her. So come out tonight.
Address is pinned in the chat.
Address is pinned in the chat. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys there. I'm very excited. So
Okay. Last few things.
by the way, also again, I mentioned it. There will be a mailbag tonight, a live mailbag, and there will also be a live stink list. I mentioned the stink list earlier, but it will be live, so I'm very excited. Go ahead. Now last few things.
Gotcha.
Like the stream.
Like the stream. That's what I was going to say. Please like the stream. We need to try to grow this show so we can reach more viewers like you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, let's head back to the radio.
Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett. This is Off the Bench. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410 in Dayton. A lot of NFL talk today. The season finally kicks off coming up here later on tonight. I did not think this would be as controversial of a, not debate, but discussion. People just cannot fathom why you would root for the Ravens tonight. It's not really root. Like, that's at the end of the day, no one's a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
They're pulling for the Ravens. Big picture. Look, we run into this a lot in college football. I always say if you are a team that is recruiting just to win your division, you're not looking at the bigger picture. Like, if your only goal is to win the division, great. You need to have the goal of winning the whole damn thing. And that's why it's always driven me nuts about the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. I know I'm on an island when it comes to this, but I love the rivalry. It means an absolute ton, no doubt. But if your only purpose is to recruit, to wake up, prepare, and recruit, and prepare for the rivalry matchup, if you're not winning a national championship, then I'm going to be pissed off saying, well, see, if you weren't so worried just about one game and worried about preparing for the games that matter, the national championship, the playoff, this, that, and the other. Like, you could still hate the Ravens and also be putting the Chiefs on the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls. They are the current dynasty. That is the only team that has had success against the Kansas City Chiefs is the Cincinnati Bengals. There's only one team out there that can consistently say, we are built to beat that team. And that team, because of your injuries, is the one back-to-back Super Bowls because of that. Like, at the end of the day, Cincinnati, the red target should not be on the Ravens. It shouldn't be on the Browns or the Steelers. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, blood should be in your eyes for the Kansas City Chiefs. You should hate the Kansas City Chiefs. You can still hate the Ravens. I just think you need to hate the Chiefs more. I tell Buckeye fans, you could hate Michigan, hate Georgia more, hate Alabama more, hate the teams that matter more. Michigan don't matter. I don't care that they won a national championship last year. They cheated. Let's just get that out of the way. At the end of the day, the Ravens, great. Want to beat them, no doubt about it. But look, it's not like Cincinnati. At the end of the day, if you lose to the Ravens twice this year, we know what the Ravens do in the playoffs. It's the Chiefs that you have to get through big picture, take care of business against the Chiefs.
If you want to make me say it out loud, I'll just say it out loud. The Ravens do not scare me in December and January. I don't care where we play them. I think where we play the Chiefs matters. I think if the Ravens win this division and we're the 5 seed, I still have the utmost faith in the Bengals making a run in the playoffs just as much as if they were division champion. That does not matter to me. What matters to me is where we play the Chiefs, and I think playing the Chiefs in Cincinnati will mean a lot. And I know it didn't matter for Baltimore, and I know it didn't matter for the Bills, but to act like home field all of a sudden doesn't matter just because Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, I think is a little bit ridiculous. I think the Bengals' run gets much, much easier. Take the bye out of it. The Bengals' run gets much easier if you're playing games at home, and that's just the truth. And I think the Chiefs losing tonight gives the Bengals the best chance to do so.
I just don't think that using your logic, I don't think this game one means as much for the Chiefs as it does for the Ravens. I think the Chiefs have proven that they can lose games like this. They did it last year, and you still go on to win a Super Bowl.
But they did it last year, and they were the 2 seed. If they do the same thing again and the Bengals are the 1 seed, I think it goes differently than it did in Baltimore.
Maybe
we can beat the Chiefs. They can't.
Maybe, but we still got to win the division first. We still play in the hardest division in football. That's still a reality. And if you don't prioritize divisional losses, I don't know what we're really doing here because you have to win that first.
But the Bengals control their own destiny in the division. The Bengals cannot give the Chiefs losses. The Chiefs control their own. The Bengals give the Chiefs 1 loss.
Yeah, that's head to head.
Right. That's what I mean. If the Chiefs are 13-4 and the Bengals are 12-5 and the Bengals beat them head-to-head, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but hypothetically, you could beat the Ravens twice. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, but even if we split against the Ravens, we can still win the division.
Sure.
If the Chiefs win, if you're rooting against the Chiefs every game, I mean, if you're rooting for the Chiefs against the divisional opponents, that's, 3-4 wins right there for the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Against good teams? If they're not losing to good teams, who are the Chiefs losing to? If the Chiefs aren't losing to the Ravens, who are the Chiefs losing to?
Yeah.
That's more where I come from. Is I look at the Chiefs' schedule and I can't find a whole lot of losses to give us a chance for a 1 seed. So I think they need to lose to the few Super Bowl contenders that they play, and that certainly includes us. I'm not downplaying a head-to-head matchup.
And look, I'm a Browns fan. Clearly, I don't know anything about division titles, so, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. I don't know. But at the end of the day, look, you said you don't fear the Ravens. They've won 3 of the last 4 against Cincinnati, clearly. But you're not talking about – it's not about the matchup head-to-head. It's just about big picture. You have 2 with the Ravens. You have an opportunity to take both of those. You only have 1 with the Chiefs, and outside of that matchup in week 2, tough schedule to start for the Chiefs. It's not that tough on the back end as far as that goes. But either way, look, we're having football debates because the season kicks off tonight, and at the end of the day, I'm excited.
It feels
about
good.
That. 71% of the voters in the chat say they're rooting for the Chiefs tonight with the matchup, of course, with the
I think the
Ratbirds.
wording of that poll skewed the results.
Who are you rooting for tonight?
The Chiefs or the Ratbirds?
Ratbirds.
I think that could have skewed the results a little bit.
I think it might have skewed the.
That's not fair wording.
I think that was that you who did that.
Unbiased media we are here at Chatterbox. All right, let's continue talking NFL here. Let's talk about some of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Throwing out a couple QB scenarios here. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of teams facing pressure heading into this season. But let's take a look. Speaking of tonight, the Ratbirds are led by 2-time MVP.
Pardon me?
What?
I was a rat bird.
I need to hear it again. You have gum in your mouth. Don't choke.
Now do a Ratbird when they get caught by the glue trap.
Nailed it, dude.
This is great radio.
The radio folks will love that. If you're listening in your car or on your car,
They were terrified.
I'm very sorry about that, but I had to make the bird noise.
And bird noise it was at the end of the day.
think.
Do you think I should do that live tonight?
Almost certain.
Every time someone walks in the door, that's the sound that you need to make.
It's like a dying dog.
That's not a dog. That's very clearly a bird.
Clearly a Ratbird.
I don't know that.
Here's my dog. You ready?
I don't know that you've heard birds.
Here's my dog sound. Here's my dog sound. Woof.
Well, that's a sad dog, dude.
Woof.
I love dogs, but I
Woof.
don't want that dog.
Golden retriever. Woof. Here's my bird.
What's the difference between the bird and the Ratbird?
The rat bird has more of a raspy voice.
Understood.
Kind of sounds like Carl Weezer
Why'd you
from
even ask that?
Jimmy
No,
Neutron.
that was
That's just common.
stupid.
Just common knowledge, dude. Come on. All right, Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, obviously at the point now where he wins a lot of regular season games and he wins a lot of regular season individual awards, but doesn't seem to win a lot of games in the time of the season that matters most, which is the postseason. Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys wins a lot of regular season games, doesn't have the individual hardware to kind of match Lamar Jackson, but both have very similar criticisms and critiques. Everyone knows they're 2 really, really good quarterbacks. Lamar significantly better than Dak, no doubt about it. Dak, a very undervalued quarterback in the league, but at the end of the day, the reason that the criticisms come pouring in on Dak Prescott is because he just doesn't get the job done in the most important time of the season, which is the postseason. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. Cool, win a lot of division titles. Awesome. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Go Ratbirds. At the end of the day, though, all that matters is when you're a 2-time MVP, you've proven to be a very good regular season quarterback, but what about during the time that matters most? So with that being said, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, 2 very similar quarterbacks in regards to the way that they are viewed. Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott, who needs a playoff win this season more, Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott?
I think for just I know we kind of just talked about it, but I do think Lamar Jackson needs a deep postseason run at some point just to stop the hatred. If he gets to a Super Bowl, it's over. The debate of whether or not he's a good quarterback's done. I still don't think there really is an argument for it when you win 2 MVPs and what he's done with the Ravens. Saying that, there's still the people. He doesn't win in the postseason. He doesn't win in the postseason. I think there's far more pressure on Lamar Jackson to win a postseason game, 2 postseason games, and get to a Super Bowl. Far more than Dak Prescott. And I know the argument. Dak Prescott plays in the largest media market in the NFL. It's when you play for the Dallas Cowboys, so there's a lot of added pressure onto there. But I think a lot of people can somewhat understand why Dak doesn't win in the postseason. I think there are some arguments against it. I don't think there's a ton of arguments to why Lamar Jackson doesn't have any success in the postseason.
I think it's Dak for 2 reasons, and I wasn't going to bring up the market, but I think that's a great point. I think there's just added pressure on whoever the Cowboys quarterback is. First is his contract is up. This is the last year of his deal. If he doesn't make a deep run in the playoff and prove he can win past December, I don't know that they're going to extend him. And going somewhere else, you're not going to have CeeDee Lamb. You're not going to have a defense with Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland on it. Who knows how he's going to be there? I mean, remember, he was a mid-round pick. This isn't some first-round bona fide stud prospect coming out of college. This is Dak Prescott, Mississippi State, going in the third, fourth round.
Yeah.
He's carved out a phenomenal career. He's one of the best statistical quarterbacks in the league in the regular season, and that's not even debatable. Just look at the numbers. He's been incredible. It needs to translate to the postseason eventually, and no one's arguing with that. I think this is the year where it's boom or bust for him in Dallas. I'm not saying he's not going to get another shot. If Dak Prescott hits the market, people are going to flock. I don't know, what. It's going to be crazy how many people want Dak Prescott to be the quarterback of their team. It's going to be everyone that doesn't have a quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league for sure, and I think he's going to get the money to prove it. But the question to me is just whether or not that's in Dallas, and I think this year determines that. I think Lamar, though people will get louder if he doesn't win this year, I think he has built himself a pretty long runway with those 2 MVPs, with the regular season success. In the AFC with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, there's a lot of options for him to lose to teams that you can justify it to.
I don't think that, and this is my biggest argument against it, I don't think that if he wins this, he's in the upper echelon of quarterback tiers. I don't think anybody, if he wins a playoff game this year, anybody will put Dak Prescott in the same category with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. I don't think there's any world where that happens unless he were to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, I think, can take it the next step. If he were able to win a playoff game, win another playoff game, then he's in that conversation with Patrick Mahomes. He's in that maybe not Patrick Mahomes, but he's definitely in the conversation being better than Josh Allen, but better than Joe Burrow, better than Herbert. There is a bigger step he can take. I don't think anybody will look at Dak Prescott differently if he wins a post game. What am I saying?
Playoff game, just a
game in the postseason. That's what I was. My God.
I think if Dak makes the NFC Championship game and loses a close one to a very good team, a Niners, a Lions, a Packers, a really good team with a great regular season record that's a higher seed than them, I think Dak gets locked up long term. I think Mike McCarthy gets locked up long term, and I think the Cowboys really put everything behind this current core they have. Any other outcome, I think they're all gone.
With the way that this is worded, again, Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott, which quarterback needs a playoff win more? I'd argue Dak Prescott needs a playoff win more, just because at the end of the day, you win that playoff game, that's one less negative talking point against you. Can't win in the playoffs, they need to go on a playoff run, no doubt. But here's the deal: Lamar Jackson can win a wild card playoff game. Great, get knocked out in the divisional round. We're still questioning his ability in the postseason. He could win a divisional playoff game if they win the division, of course, and get knocked out in the divisional round, and we're still having the same conversations, even if he gets to the AFC Championship game. So at the end of the day, Lamar, to me, doesn't need a playoff win. He needs playoff wins. He needs to get to at least the AFC Championship game for us to start putting him consistently more going forward in that conversation with the Joe Burrow and the Patrick Mahomes. I know he has the 2 MVPs, but I mean, I like that. You want your quarterback to win MVPs, but I think you guys, you don't lose sleep at night having a quarterback that has never won an MVP, because why? Oh, yeah, you know that come January, come February, you're pretty damn confident that your quarterback's going to get it done. Ratbirds fans, as you guys call them, they go to bed at night with being a fan of a 2-time MVP, but they're not confident in their team come January and February. So MVP's great. I need you to show that you can perform and play at the highest level come January, February. I say Dak needs a playoff win more, because I think that saves the perception, or improves his perception. Lamar could win a playoff game. It ain't going to matter. He needs to win playoff games for that to change when it's all said and done. So next one up, your guys' favorite quarterback, Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson?
Two doozies.
Deshaun Watson. Oh, what's that?
I was just going to make a point.
Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson? Who is under the most pressure to have a successful 2024 campaign?
I don't think Russell Wilson has anything to prove to anybody. I think he's. Huh?
What do you mean?
You think
he's on a 1-year vet minimum deal?
You think Russell Wilson's got a bunch to prove?
One of the most in the entire league out of any quarterback.
Really?
He'll be out of the league after this year if he doesn't play well.
He's an aging quarterback. He's already won a Super Bowl. I think he's done his job.
His career will be over if he doesn't play well this year.
Correct, but I don't. But again, I think it's similar to the same way with Deshaun Watson here. If Deshaun Watson has a hell of a lot more to lose, because Deshaun Watson never has done anything. Respectfully, he's had a couple of good years in Houston.
I don't think Deshaun really has much to lose.
His legacy of a quarterback, Russell Wilson's legacy of a quarterback, doesn't change if the Pittsburgh Steelers offense can't get it done this year.
See, I totally disagree. I think Russ has top 5 pressure in the league this year, because if he's not good for even 2 weeks, he's pulled and Fields goes in. His job is more in jeopardy than I think any quarterback out of the 32 teams. And if he wants to play in the NFL longer than age 35, he needs to play well this year. I think he has maybe the shortest leash out of any starter in the league. Deshaun's contract is fully guaranteed, and if the Browns move on from him, he's going to be the starting quarterback somewhere else. So I think it's Russ just strictly off of the rest of his NFL career relies on this season.
You think Deshaun Watson is going to be a starting quarterback after this? Oh, I
For
don't,
sure.
I don't think so at all.
Yeah.
I don't think so at all. I don't know what team would want to touch him. And if he's unable to play games, I don't know how he's able to. He's played 6 games twice in his 2 years with the Browns. If he plays 6 games this year, we're going to seriously consider that guy as a realistic starting quarterback option. It's a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. Coming into the season, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Russell Wilson's a middle of the road quarterback playing for a team that has no expectations.
You'd rather have Russell Wilson than Deshaun Watson be the quarterback of your team this year, strictly talking football.
100%. Russell Wilson?
I do disagree.
Russell Wilson? Yeah, 1,000,000%. I know Russell Wilson's going to stay on the field. People act like Russell Wilson's the worst quarterback in the league. Russell Wilson was fine last year. The head coach didn't want him. The head coach was calling plays that actively went against him. Russell, we're not going to play you anymore. Bye-bye. See ya. I think that's strange. I don't think he was ever in a great position to win at all last season with Denver. And I think if he wanted to be a starting quarterback next year, I think many teams would be calling. Many. And I don't think anybody's calling Deshaun Watson. I don't know why you would, unless you're just one of the worst franchise and you want some attention.
I think that list is completely flipped. I think there's a lot of teams calling Deshaun if he is let go this year, and I think there's 0 calling Russell Wilson.
I think the thing you got to question too is you talked about the way Denver just kind of dumped him. Seattle dumped him too, and he won a Super Bowl for him. And there's just too many. Like at a certain point, it's back-to-back teams where you've played for where he has been unceremoniously dumped, and you got to question, well, why is that? Like in last year, by the way, way better second year with Denver than that first year, no doubt about it. And statistically, was not terrible last year. I completely agree. But at the same time, you do have to question why are teams doing everything they can just to move off of him. As far as which quarterback needs a better 2024, both need it. No doubt about it. Deshaun has to live up to this contract in some capacity. And I think the first step to that is don't get injured. Don't get suspended. Don't be accused of sexual assault. Don't be a distraction to your damn team. Go earn the damn fully guaranteed contract that was given to you and be a quarterback. Like at the end of the day, that to me, successful season is not being a distraction and be out there on the field. For Russell Wilson, and by the way, you talk about if Deshaun doesn't have a good year, I do think he's still the quarterback of the Browns even next season because the guaranteed contract.
He's going to be their quarterback because you have to pay him.
So I'm
saying after the Browns' tenure.
Oh, no doubt. But for this season, though,
Correct.
For which one needs a good 2024 season, Russell Wilson does because Deshaun will be the quarterback of the Browns one way or another moving forward for at least another year. Russell Wilson may not be the starting quarterback of the Steelers in Week 7 if he doesn't play well, as far as that's concerned. Look, I'm not a Steelers guy. I'm not pulling for – I kind of want Russell Wilson to succeed just because I kind of like Russell. I kind of, don't like when quarterbacks like that unceremoniously just fall off the face of the earth. But at the end of the day, I think Russell needs this because if he can't make it work at Pittsburgh, you got dumped by a team you won a Super Bowl for. You go to the Denver Broncos, who also, by the way, give up a ton to get him. And Sean Payton didn't want you. And then you can't work out in Pittsburgh for Mike Tomlin, leader of men. At that point, I think that more people have given up on him at that point than I still think if the Browns just outright release Deshaun Watson, there'll be plenty of teams that will take a flyer on him, especially because he's 28 years old still.
Right. Yeah.
I think that matters. So there you go. All right, we got one more coming your way. We'll get into some Reds buy or sell to wrap up the radio side of things. We'll be right back. This is Off the Bench. All right, and we are back. Let's pick up with this. Joe Burrow or Josh Allen? Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, which of these quarterbacks, and for this season only, which of these quarterbacks needs to win a Super Bowl this season more? Which one needs it more? Which one needs a Super Bowl more between these two quarterbacks, Joe Burrow or Josh Allen?
I think the pressure and the narratives are probably on Josh Allen. And his ranking in the league quarterback list relies more on the Super Bowl this year than Burrow's does, just because Burrow's already been there before. Burrow's already beaten Mahomes. I think Burrow needs to win it more this year because of the way the rosters are built. I don't think the Bills have a real fighting chance, if I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think they have the pieces on defense. I don't think they have the weapons on the perimeter on offense. Josh Allen is absolutely good enough to win a Super Bowl, and he might be good enough to do so with this roster. He's that good at quarterback. But I think the Bills' window was open for about the last 3 or 4 years, and it's going to be open again in 2 or 3 years. I think right now they need to get the roster picked up a little bit and get back to a place where you have competitive pieces at more positions on the field than just, the handful here or there. I think the window right now for the Bengals is as open as it'll ever be this year, ever. You're not going to have T. Higgins and JaMarr Chase next year, presumably. Your backfield will be Zach Moss will be a year older. You probably have him at the most explosive he'll ever be if you just talk about running backs every year. They get worse and worse. Chase Brown, young, still not a lot of miles on his tires. His explosiveness will be at a peak. You have young receivers who any of them can emerge and give you a chance. You have Mike Gesicki on a 1-year deal. The defense is hopefully much better. You addressed a lot of the needs you had. I think the Bengals' chance to win the Super Bowl this year is as good as it'll ever be, and that's why I think it's Joe Burrow.
I'm going to agree with Jacob here, and maybe this is similar to my thoughts on the Dak Prescott Lamar Jackson debate we had. I don't know if Josh Allen I see ever being that guy. I don't see him being the face of the league. I see Joe Burrow being the face of the league if he wins the Super Bowl. I can see Patrick Mahomes being the face of the league because he is. Right? I think there's a step certainly in the next direction if Josh Allen were to win a Super Bowl. But as Jacob said, do we really think that's possible? I've looked at his weapons. There are none. We have Dalton Kincaid's his best pass catcher this year.
Khalil Shakur, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, top 3 receivers.
So again, I don't know what the expectations are with Josh Allen. I really don't. I know what the expectations are with Joe Burrow. I know a lot of media out there is doubting Joe Burrow, doubting the Cincinnati Bengals. And winning one Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl in franchise history, would end everything. It would end all the discourse, end all the debate. It would end the Bengals did things wrong 15 years ago, so they're not going to be good this year. It's going to end all of it. So do I think that Joe Burrow needs to win a Super Bowl? I don't know if he needs to win a Super Bowl, but I think if he does, he benefits more because of it. I think the Bengals do as well, opposed to the Buffalo Bills. And that's no knock on the Bills. I think Josh Allen's great.
We keep focusing on the weapons, and I have too. Obviously, that's a big talking point for the Bills, but I also think it's important to recognize Josh Allen's probably the best dual-threat quarterback of all time. Like his running is unbelievable. The way he uses his legs is second to none. He's an incredible runner, and I think we might just see that facet of his game a little bit more this year, which would be super interesting. And that's why I think he's going 4 or 5 rounds ahead of the next quarterback in fantasy, because you're projecting that he's really going to run this year. I think he's going to help that team win as much as he can, which is going to have to be a lot. He's going to have to play some real hero football this year for them to have a chance in the AFC East and the AFC as a whole, or even to make the playoffs. I'm not entirely sure, but I have faith in Josh Allen keeping that team afloat, and I think that's going to be incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
I don't expect a Super Bowl, nor do I think he needs one.
All right, you guys swayed me. I said I was adamant about Josh Allen, but the one thing I did not think about was, the roster makeup too. Now, I still have confidence in Josh Allen and the Bills at this point, but do I really put them in my Super Bowl contender list? I guess I don't at this point. But I guess from the perception standpoint, Josh Allen has a few years on Joe Burrow in the league, so his shelf life in the league has been longer at this point, and he's had more time to achieve the success that Joe Burrow has, and he just hasn't done it. He's been a dominant regular season quarterback. He's actually looked good in the postseason. His teams just haven't been able to get over the hump. Of course, you look at the quarterbacks that have eliminated Josh Allen over the years. He can't seem to get past Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and Joe Burrow knocked him out of the playoffs. Well, not last year, I guess, but 2 years ago. But the bottom line is at this point, everyone is looking at Josh Allen kind of like Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen doesn't have the regular season awards that Lamar has, but everyone's like, yeah, you win in the regular season, cool. Oh, you won the division. Congratulations. Oh, you're in the playoffs. That's where we're really going to start judging you at this point. So which one needs it more? I was going to say Josh Allen just because, that would do so much to put to bed all the criticisms of him out there of not being able to do it when it matters most. But you do look at Joe Burrow. You do look at the Cincinnati Bengals. This was a team that obviously drafted and has drafted really well. You get JaMarr, you get T. Higgins, you get Joe Burrow, you get the pieces on the defensive side of the ball. The last couple of years, I keep saying this is the most talented roster that he'll play on moving forward. I said that last year. I don't think this roster is as talented as last year. This year, this roster is the most talented roster he'll play on moving forward. The one thing we do know, this is the last time he's going to play with T. Higgins and JaMarr Chase, who we say are 2 number 1 wide receivers on the field at the same time. They did a lot to improve that defense. You're right. Like, he has everything he needs. He has the run game. They addressed that. They invested a ton of money in that offensive line. Defense improved. Run game improved, obviously, and they're one of the favorites to win this division. So at the end of the day, he has more to get it done this year than Josh Allen. So I guess I'm going to sway. You guys swayed me. I'm going to go the Bengals and Joe Burrow more, even though I think Josh Allen needs it, but he's not equipped to do it this year. And if he does, then damn, that will definitely silence a lot of critics if that's the case.
Yeah, if Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl this year, I'm going to be the guy that puts him at 1. I'm going to be the annoying guy that forgets about Patrick Mahomes after 1 year. But this would be incredibly impressive. I have very, very low expectations for the Bills. You saw my playoff prediction on the show yesterday. I didn't even have a minute. So I'm not high on the Bills, even though I think Josh Allen is absolutely incredible. So we'll see what they can do this year. They just haven't given him much help. And that Von Miller contract, man, that's handicapping this team in a window where you really, really want to compete, where Josh Allen's in his prime. I'm sure they're kicking themselves for that.
All right. Again, a lot of NFL today, rightfully so. One more time, champions tonight. That's
Champions tonight. Yep, that's right. Work Road, W-E-R-K, Road, Work Road. From 7 to 8, we'll be talking Bengals. We'll be talking NFL opener. Come see us. Come say hello. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
And again,
Reds tickets giveaway as well.
Bengal-centric Reds tickets will be given away for September 20th, which is the Nelly concert that night. Pretty cool. A couple pairs of those will be given away, so keep that in mind. But, yeah, the game, Thursday Night Football, the game will be going on. The Ratbirds and the Chiefs, too. That'll be going on during your guys' show as well. So keep that in mind. But, all right, good stuff with that. I know we're about to talk a little baseball off the radio side of things, too, as far as that's concerned. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the radio side. This has been Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. All right, now we close it out. We're just on the YouTube side of things.
Just YouTube.
Just YouTube. Now we can curse and swear.
Not true.
Well, you can, right?
Not true.
No.
Why not?
Still like to monetize our lives.
Yeah, we would demonetize our lives.
Oh, is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. If you cuss on YouTube, don't get monetized.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Like, what's considered cussing on YouTube?
I think the same as radio.
Yeah, whatever radio.
Same
rules
as radio for monetization.
Oh.
Yep.
So the FCC approved words can be said. Not that I'm.
I assume so. I don't really know.
But interesting. Did not know that. Thank you for educating us on that, Casey.
That's why we keep him around, right?
That sounded sarcastic. I had no clue.
No, that's why we keep him around.
I mean, I had a couple F-bombs in the chamber ready to fire.
You were ready to go. This is going to be the Joey Votto, JaMarr Chase holdout TikTok segment, and Kenner was just going to let loose. But we'll have to reschedule that one for a boxed lunch.
Yeah, but we were going to end the show with some Reds buy or sell. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to do that right now.
Oh, it's definitely okay with me, Elliot.
Is it? Are you sure?
Yes, I sign off completely.
Reds are hot. Reds buy or sell. The Reds will win 10 more games this season.
How many games they have left right now?
So right now, they have a, let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 games left.
Ooh, that would mean... Actually, you know what? I'll buy that. Because...
But let me tell you the teams. They play the Mets, the Cardinals, the Twins, the Braves, the Pirates, Guardians, Cubs.
The reason I will buy it is because they're a 500 team. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They're going to win 2 or 3
okay.
and then lose 3 or 4. And they'll probably come just – I'm still going to buy it. They'll probably win 8, 9 games. But, like, this is who they are. They're going to – like, right now, they're in the midst of it again. 4 straight win, whatever it is. Like, you know, great. That's exciting. I'd rather them be winning than losing, no doubt about it. But, like, they're winning right now, and we're still – like, I almost get more annoyed when they win right now, to be honest with you.
So do I.
Like,
so do I.
I'm more annoyed by this little win streak of theirs than anything because it's like, see, like, you can do it. You can do it against good teams. You can do it against an elite pitcher like Justin Verlander. You can do it. But that's what they do. They're going to win 3-4 in a row, then they'll lose 2 or 3, and that's just what they'll do. So I'll buy that.
That's a fair take. I was going to go easy sell, but 10-11 makes a lot of sense for this Reds
Yeah.
team. I'm still going to sell it, but it'd be fun, I guess. 77 wins. Woohoo!
I'm going to sell it. I don't know when Hunter Green's coming back. I don't know when Nick Lodolo's coming back. I don't know when Andrew Abbott's coming back. If this is going to be the starting pitching rotation going forward for the remainder of this season, they're not going to win many games. They're getting lucky because apparently they just own the Astros. I don't know why. Don't know how.
Yeah.
But they do.
They've never lost to the Astros.
That's ever in the history of the organization. So I get frustrated watching them. I get frustrated talking about them. I think they win 7 more games going forward. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation that we have here.
All right.
I think 10's a sadly competitive line.
Yeah, I agree.
What are they back right now? I know the division's like 14 back or something crazy like that. But the
Let me
wild
see.
card,
Let me see if I can find it.
Man, I'm gonna miss checking the wild card standings every day.
Yeah, we did
Look
that
at
for like
them,
a week.
9.5 back. 9.5 back.
9 and just
It takes one 12-game win streak.
so if we win those 10 games
Correct.
and then 11 more, we'll probably be fine.
If we win out, we're in great shape.
I think so.
I didn't put this buy or sell on there, but let's do it right now, just live, so I don't have a graphic for it. Buy or sell, the Reds' positive run differential will be negative by the time this season ends.
What is it currently?
It's at plus 20.
I'll buy it because, again, it's very much in line with the last one. This team has had a positive run differential pretty much all season. In fact, it was at 56 at one point, and then I think it got cut in half in like a 5-game span when really things started going downhill after they swept the Cardinals. I think it's going to remain positive only because they're going to have stretches where they can't score, and they're going to have really bad – they'll have a series or 2 where they're just abysmal offensively, but then they're going to have nights like last night, 9-10 runs in the first inning, and then all of a sudden their run differential explodes again. So, again, I don't think they're very good offensively, obviously, but they're one of the few teams that has been able to stay in the positive pretty much all season. So I'm going to say that they'll keep it, although they'll make it interesting. That's going to be the most interesting thing about this team down the stretches. Can they keep their positive run differential?
Positive run differential. Caleb says if they go on a 12-game win streak, Elliot has to shave his head bald. I'll do you one further. If the Reds go on a 12-game winning streak, I will – not only will I shave my head bald, I will eat dog poop.
Oh, no.
Out of Red Solo
Hold
Cup
up.
in the spoon?
Time out. They've won 4 straight right now, so does that mean
Yes, no,
like
that counts.
No,
8
that counts,
more?
yeah.
So
They
they
win
win
8 more.
8 straight games from here on out.
I will eat dog poop.
Dude,
Shout out 3-2-1 Noel.
now I'm
Shout out to
invested
the
in the
cricket
Reds.
Shout out.
And I will shave my head.
Now I'm invested in the Reds.
Wait, hold on. This is a good point.
Don't clip that.
Is this like when you said you would eat the cricket and then didn't?
Here's the
Yeah.
thing about
I'd much
think
rather
it
eat a
is.
cricket
Here's
than
the
poop.
thing. Here's
But
the
he offers all this stuff, all these grand.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing
and,
about.
and old
here's-
Jacob has to come pick up the
here-
slack. Guess
here-
who's gonna be eating poop?
here-
I just know it's me.
Here-
I know it's me.
Here's the thing about the cricket. I ate the cricket, and people don't like to talk about it. I ate the
You
wing.
nibble the wing.
I nibbled a wing, and that counts as eating a cricket. That's by the textbook definition. That's what it is. So yeah, I will eat dog poop, and then I will also shave my head bald.
You didn't learn anything.
Oh, that's gross. You're going to shave your head bald, dude?
Sometimes those weird ones just
That
get
was
to me.
funny.
That was a good
That
one.
was funny.
All right. Elliot's all talk. That's not true, Colton. You know that. That's such disrespect. Cincy B, you spelled Elliot with 2 T's. Incorrect
It's actually
spelling.
3.
No. It's 1 T.
4 T's.
Common misconception. Here we go.
My name has 2 T's in it.
Buy or sell to. Yeah, it does. Buy or sell to. The second buy or sell. Santiago Espinal will be a Red next year.
I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it. He'll be a bench piece. He's been good enough to earn that, and I think we'll keep him around.
Yeah, I think he's cheap, which is the Reds' favorite player. So I think he will be back next year. I think he probably won't be very good next year, but I think he'll be back next year because of what he's done this year. And I thank you very much, Santiago Espinal. You've been a very good player this season.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best outfielders that the Reds have.
That's right.
You know, I mean, David Bell views him as one of the best outfielders.
That's true.
No, it's a typical Reds move. I think that they will. And by the way, if he's a utility piece, then fantastic.
That's exactly.
But if
where
we're
I'm
talking about him as an everyday player, a year from now at this point, we're going to be having the same disdain, gross tone in our voice as we do right now about this team.
if there's a single human that's breathing air out there that insinuates that Santiago Espinal should be starting at any position going into next season, I just want to sit down, have a talk with them, maybe share a beer, really understand where they're coming from, because I don't get it. I don't get it at all. He's been fine this year. I'm not taking that away.
He's been great.
Good. He'll be a great bench piece, if that.
You can't expect every bench piece you find to be some serviceable core member to a World Series. It just does not. It's not how it works.
Like, how many games has Santiago Espinal played this year? It's probably too many.
You could create.
Santiago Espinal's he's been playing over 100 games.
Yeah.
What are some of the names that
That's
kind of
an everyday player?
What are some of the names that fit his makeup over the years, like Scooter Gennett, like guys that just come in, play really well for you, and the fans kind of gravitate towards them a little bit. But at the end of the day, if that's your guy moving forward, that ain't great. And I don't think
Scooter.
I don't
think fans ever gravitated towards Santiago Espinal. I still don't think they have. There's a select people that watch every single baseball game that be like, oh yeah, this guy's not bad. But there's but like Scooter Gennett had a legit fan base. People
he had a bobblehead, dude. Scooter on a scooter.
The real doozy for Santiago Espinal is he was horrendous.
Yeah.
While Reds fans were still dialed into the team, and then he's become really, really good.
While no one's
while
watching.
Everyone's checked out.
Yeah.
So if he would have been doing this in May when the team was terrible and he was pulling the team up to being competitive, I think he would have a much bigger fan base.
Yeah.
But I think the timing was tough for him.
Yeah, I think he should play. I think Blackmore said it in the chat. I think he should play over Noelvi Marte. That's a fact. Noelvi Marte stinks. So if you want to try to win games, you put him over him. But at the end of the day, next year, let's hope our players play good and they stay healthy. Here we go. Buy or sell 3. Rhett Lauder will finish with a sub-4 ERA this season.
I'm going to buy it, but not for him being a good pitcher reasons.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to start a whole lot more games.
Really think he's going to be done soon?
I think he'll have maybe two more starts.
I think that's if you go 3 starts in Major League Baseball with a sub-4, I think that's all right. It's a pretty good start.
Certainly not taking anything away from it.
I'm going to buy it with you. I'm too negative. I'm going to be positive about this. Rhett Lauder, shining star in the Reds organization.
Yeah, 81. Come on.
81.
Come on, we're giving him 81.
Yeah.
He's our number 2 prospect.
That's right.
Rip the jersey off Santiago Espinal's back and give him the 4 he wore at Wake Forest. I don't care about the roster manipulation or the
I want
Fanatics
Santiago
problem.
Espinal to keep his jersey.
No! And I will die on this hill.
Ken?
Next with Rhett Lauder, is there an innings count on him regardless? Like,
I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it would be.
I
can try to find how many innings he's pitched this year so far.
They don't have many options. So when my point about I don't want to see him the rest of the season, you're going to because they don't have a whole lot of options.
Correct.
You're right
at this point. And that was one of the worst Reds games as a whole this season. It wasn't him, right? Like he looked solid. So look, I don't know.
He's pitched 115 innings this year.
I hope so. I hope that
Okay.
he has a positive end of the season just so this putrid finish to the season, we could at least look at that and say, well, man, they called him up. He was able to hang in there. I think we could potentially see him very, very soon as far as like a mainstay in that rotation, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. Buy or sell number 4, the Reds, in order for this core to be successful and to go in the right trend, they need to win 85 games next year. They have to take a step in the right direction next season in order for us to believe in this core, for this plan that Nick Krall has built. And I'm going to say, I'm going to buy it because if we don't see success, if I don't see results, I'm not even saying postseason next year. Take a step in the positive direction, please. Please. And I think 85 wins is a good number. I think it keeps you in fight for the wild card. Maybe you sneak in with the last wild card spot with 85 wins. But if we don't see a winning season next year, I'm going to call this a failure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to buy that. I'd buy even a step further. This Reds team isn't now on September, whatever it is, 5th. If the Reds aren't competitive for the playoffs at that point next year, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah.
Very upset.
Yeah.
And I'm not even necessarily talking being the 5th, 6th, 7th team in the wild card. I either want to be comfortably in the wild card or fighting for the division. Like, this team has the pieces where we should be fighting for the division next year if the ownership is willing to go supplement this core with the correct pieces. Massive if. Who knows if they're willing to do that? I certainly hope so. I'm going to hold out hope all offseason that they're going to do so because that's the Reds' only chance. And if you're not going to invest in supplemental pieces for this core, I don't know when you will. So if it doesn't happen this offseason, I'm not sure when it happens for the Reds. So I'm going to buy it, and I think it's even more than that. I think they even need to be more competitive than that.
I think you get the injury excuse one year. You get it this year. I'm going to give it to Nick Kroll. I'm going to give it to the front office. They didn't expect every single player we have to get hurt. That's fair. Next year, let's have a backup plan because our roster is clearly filled with guys that might get injured. And that's not a knock. It's just a fact. If we can't field a roster for 162 games consistently, I'm going to have an issue with the roster construction. People don't like to hear that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, there was clearly no plan for when all these injuries happen. And I don't know if there is when you lose 3 starting pitchers at the same exact time. I don't know if there is. Probably not. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give you this year full of excuses. I'm going to give you every excuse you want. You didn't want to get to the peak this year. You wanted to stay in the valley one more time, just to reminisce. But next year, let's do something. Let's be productive. Let's have a plan for injured guys. Let's do something productive next year, please. So, yeah, I'm buying.
Brad Meter, the general manager for the Cincinnati Reds. The general manager for the Cincinnati Reds. It sounded weird because I'm so used to saying Nick Kroll.
Yeah.
When we interviewed him to start the season, straight up, your expectations for the Reds in 2024 is what? Not to flirt with the wild card, not to be competitive. It was to win the division. So I'm going to have a hard time watching Ellie, who just broke out into a superstar this year. Hunter Green, if he doesn't have that, pull in his elbow or whatever it was, was pitching at a Cy Young-like level.
Yep.
When we have bona fide stars on this roster now, and there's still question marks, don't get me wrong, like Matt McClain, I am concerned that he's missed an entire year, like to just, whatever. But to me, you can't go backwards next year. When we interview him again coming up in December, before the season, once they get winter meetings done and all this, and they've attacked free agency, I don't want to hear that, well, our goal is just to be competitive and finish with a better record than last year. As fans, if they have a better record than where they're at right now, we'll be happy a year from now. But at the end of the day, think about it. Their expectations, the general manager of the Reds told me the expectation was to win the division this year. Not even close. They're 12.5 or 14.5 back. Or
and it's a bad division.
It's not a, yeah.
It's a bad division.
The National League as a whole. And watch, by the way, the Reds could be significantly better next year. But so could the rest of the National League, and they still missed the playoffs because missed opportunity. If they would, if they were really, really good this year in a down time for the National League, that's why you have to be aggressive when you look at the landscape around you too, because the landscape's not always going to be the same, not just yours, but that around. I don't know. They have to be better than they are right now next year. I don't want to hear about wild card. If their goal is to win the division this year in year 2 of these guys, there's no reason why division shouldn't be the same expectation next year. But I don't just want to hear it. I want to see it, and that starts in what they do in the offseason with roster construction.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Final buy or sell to end the show today. Let me see if I got this one. Here we go. And boom. Over 2.5 Reds outfielders will return for next season.
As starters? As everyday?
As starters. So that's Spencer Steer, TJ Friedel, Will Benson, Jake Fraley. I know they touched on it last night on Chatterbox Reds.
As starters?
As starters.
So no outfield signings is the question.
Correct. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, then sell. Yeah, then sell. That's not a competitive line.
What's Spencer Steer to you?
2.5 is not a competitive line.
Spencer
Friedel and Steer are locks.
Correct.
Chris Hines will certainly be on the roster. Will Benson will be on the roster.
But will they start?
No. No, I don't think so. None of them are starters this year.
But they're starting. That's what I'm saying.
Who's the starter this year in that third outfield spot?
It would be.
That's my question.
I guess that's fair.
Because how are you saying three guys aren't going to start at 100?
Basically, this question, I guess it was poorly worded. My question is, will there be a replacement in right field, an everyday starter in right field?
Will there be an external signing start?
Correct.
Yes. So I'll sell that.
I'll sell it as well. Because I don't think Will Benson's unfortunately good enough to be on the Reds right now. And that's no knock. I really like Will Benson. I think he's a fan favorite. I think people love him. But everything that's gone wrong for Will Benson that could have gone wrong has gone wrong this year. He's a sub-200 hitter. He doesn't really get on base. He can't hit left-handed pitching, and he's not very good at defense. And that's with all due respect and love to a guy that I like. But at the end of the day, you can't seriously consider yourself a serious baseball team if we're going to continue to run out Will Benson for as many games as he's run. I don't know how many games he's played this year, but it's certainly been more than he's deserved based on what he's done on the field. 117 games for a guy that's been terrible. What's his WAR? -1, I imagine. I imagine it's. I think it's
not quite. -0.8.
0.8. All right, he's getting better.
Not quite a full game.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts. I think Jake Fraley's great. I think he's good as a platoon guy, a utility guy when you need somebody to get a break. I think Jake Fraley's perfect for it. He's still hitting 280, I think, on the year, 275. I know the power numbers certainly aren't even close to being there, but I think that can come back for Jake Fraley. I don't know if it can come back for Will Benson.
So your two locks, or there's two locks in the outfield next year for you, correct?
Yeah, correct. TJ Friedel and Spencer Steer are locks.
I don't know that Steer's necessarily a lock in the outfield.
That's why I was asking.
He's a lock in the lineup and a lock on the roster.
Is he your DH?
I don't know that he's a lock.
Yeah.
Because it depends on what Marte does. So if Marte's going to be terrible and
Yeah.
you're not going to sign a third baseman, then I think you're talking about shuffling the infield around, which means Steer's probably playing somewhere in the infield.
I'm here to tell you right now, the reason I brought this up, I think Jonathan India is in the outfield. I don't think they want to move on from him.
I don't think he will.
I don't either. We've done this for 2 years now, and watch. There's a good chance that they do. Don't get me wrong, but like, what would make moving him now any different than moving him a year ago or 2 years ago when this was brought up at that time? So
Yeah.
And again, if he was still playing the way he was coming out of the All-Star break or going into the All-Star break, I think it would make my stance a little more firm. But he's a clubhouse guy that, I mean, they just keep speaking to when they speak to that. When they keep speaking to how much he means to the guys in the clubhouse, I think that means a lot for a young roster. It's the only reason I have a hard time believing that they would get rid of him, even though, from a business perspective, he would bring back something. He would give you something. But the room you're trying to make for him is being taken up by guys that we still are scratching our heads. Like, are they the guy? That's the question, too.
I think you have to keep John. If this season isn't a testament to having to keep Jonathan India on your roster, I don't know what'll convince you, because you need the depth.
We had so much depth at middle infield coming in.
Correct.
And now look,
no depth whatsoever. You need Jonathan India. I just don't think he'll be an outfielder because he hasn't.
Fair.
I don't think he will do it.
I think if he did not do it this season when they needed somebody to be there like that, and he still couldn't do it or didn't want to do it, or David Bell didn't put him out there. Whatever the reason was, if we didn't see Jonathan India in right field this season, you will not see him there next season. I have a hard time believing that's the case.
Yeah, I just think the Reds have screwed up the India thing so bad that they can't trade him yet. Yeah. They can't trade him anymore. I mean, they've screwed it up so bad. They've had 3 or 4 massive, massive opportunities to get a huge return for a guy that's not going to be an everyday player. And they screwed it up, quite frankly, in my opinion. They screwed it up. And now Jonathan India is stuck on this team, and he will be here next year. And who knows where he's going to play. So...
Fair enough. I'll throw out one more to you as well. Talk about the pitching. Johnny Cueto is available. Buy or sell. The Reds taking out a flyer on a farewell little run for our guy Johnny Cueto.
For this season?
I'm in.
For this season or
I'm
next?
in.
For this season.
For this season, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
let him start
Please.
every home game the rest of the year.
Please. I don't know why you would. What do you have to lose?
That'd be so much fun.
How much does he cost? $1 million?
Can we get Votto and Todd Frazier back and maybe see what Cozart's doing? Just do like a throwback lineup
I don't think Mesoraco's that busy. I know he's coaching.
Pitt.
He's coaching Pitt.
It's off season.
He can take a break from
take
that.
a recruiting.
I don't want Cozart to leave Twitter, so I kind of want.
true.
Let's leave him alone.
That's true.
Honest to God, I don't know why you wouldn't sign Johnny Cueto right now.
Yeah,
you don't have any starting pitchers. He's cheap. The fan base is pissed.
He had a quality start this year.
Why? Yeah, it's true. Why not give the fan base something to cheer about? Something.
That'd be fun. I'd probably go to that game.
I would absolutely go to that game.
So Cueto again.
Cueto and City Connect jersey, give it to me.
Oh, if Johnny Cueto gets signed for one
nice.
start and it's a Friday game, how many? I'll give him 10 days. I'll give Reds fans 10 days.
It'll be the second most sold jersey.
I was gonna say it'll be the second most.
It'll be the second most sold jersey this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
So I think he just got like a big old standing ovation, of course, for the Royals. And all that stuff, which was really cool. And whatever. If he gets that, in Cincinnati, great. Hopefully, if they do bring him in, he gets a home game. It's not just some game on the road.
No, bringing him in for a road game would be useless.
Look, and I'm not suggesting that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I'm not suggesting that for just nostalgic purposes, but we're talking about earlier. They have no arms. And I think we had this debate last week about when all the arms just basically blew up. You need veteran arms to throw out there to eat innings, and he checks off the nostalgia box. He checks off the reason to go to the ballpark box, and he checks off the box of we're not just throwing on just anyone out there.
Yeah.
Maley might be upset. Some of those guys might be a little upset, but nonetheless. All right, cool stuff. Again, Champions tonight. Last push on the way out.
Champions Grill, Work Road
with an E.
WERK.
Well, and the grill with an E.
and the grill with an E,
At the end.
Grille.
Right.
Champions Grill, 7 o'clock, Work Road, west side of Cincinnati, 7 to 8, leading up to the opener of the NFL season, Chiefs versus Ravens. We're talking Bengals. We're talking other fun stuff. So please come on.
The
come
chat
on
is
down and
wondering
see us.
the food there. How's the food at
I love the food there.
I've heard it's great.
I love the food there. So they got these big ass I can say ass, right? Big ass. They
Probably
got. You can say ass. Come on.
Let's say it
you
again.
Can say ass.
Do it
on,
one
you
more
can say
time.
ass on the radio.
We're at 5.
There's a giant pretzel you can get. Come on and have some fun. Come on to Champions tonight, 7 o'clock. See everybody there. Casey, myself, Reed, Jacob, we'll all be there talking Bengals. So hope to see you guys there.
Yep, get your asses there on time and be ready to go.
That's right.
You heard it here first.
Everett, they got pretzels. That's unique. Thanks, Ev. Is this an Elder Bar or it is an Elder Bar? There is St. X merch in the place though.
Big.
There's St. It's a GCL bar.
That's big for
really,
morale.
except for LaSalle because LaSalle's not in the GCL.
Well, I mean, you probably would have to give some money to the bar.
Correct.
They don't have any of that.
That's true. Poor LaSalle. They've got nothing and no one forever.
All right, well,
Nice.
You convinced us, guys. Go Ratbirds tonight, I guess. Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers.